YouTube, Turbo Timber 1.5, finally. We're gonna fly this thing. We've already done the radio setup, build, unbox, all that good stuff. And then the Expo is at the very end. So if you guys are watching for that setup, then stay tuned. We'll put it right after the maiden. We're gonna fly it first on 2200 4S. We have a little starter pack. We go over this at the beginning of the unbox. And then we have this, which is gonna be our second flight, and it's gonna be a 3200 3S. Now, we reviewed 2200 4S and 2200 3S, so we don't really mean to be deceptive here at all, but this one is just a little bit different size. I wanted to show you how that works. I don't know if you can get a 3200 4S into this just because of the way it sticks in the nose. So if you're familiar with the original 1.5 meter timber, it's got the same problem, and that is that they go in the bottom. So beyond that, beautiful plane, went together pretty easy, and you're gonna see how great it flies right now. Big soft Tundra tires and articulating suspension on there. Takeoff flaps dialed in. Oh my goodness, that's full throttle out of the flaps. Man, that thing has some crazy elevator authority because I used the inside hole. Man, that thing is crazy. It just does anything. Okay, into the flaps. Man, a lot of down, a lot of down. A lot of down. I'm riding that stick. Look at this, guys. You see that? I'm riding that stick. I need a little bit more. In fact, we're going to do that right now. Coming in for a landing. Again, guys, this is 4S. You wouldn't have to fly it on 4S. Look at that thing. Out of the flaps altogether. It just, you can just cornball it like right there. I don't even know if that's what that's called, but could also be that the battery shifted because it does feel a little bit nose heavy in general now. Landing flaps there. Those leading edge slats just really allow you to take off slow. Look how slow it's flying, guys. And you got to stay into the power. Don't be afraid to stay in the power when you got leading edge slats. Look at this thing. Look at this thing, guys. You got power to spare, so you don't have to be afraid of getting left high and dry if you do something crazy. Look at that wing flex. Love the LEDs, just enough to give it that scale appearance. Full landing flaps coming out. Out of the flaps. And safe. That's safe, guys. Not even looking. Okay. Bring it back home, guys. Out of safe here. Okay, upside down flight with slats, 50% throttle. Healthy amount of additional elevator here. No problems. Okay, getting out of that. We have had some horrifically bad flying weather this week. Very, very windy, very rainy, but we needed it bad. Our hay was horrible. We had 194 mini bales on our first cutting, and we had 15 on our second. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and bring this in. A little bit bounce there. Sorry about that, guys. Try to perform a little better for you next time. Okay, throttle cuts on and tested. We got 1:15 left on the 4-minute timer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here to flaps. We're gonna put a, was it too far down? I was riding the elevator.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yep, so we'll do 15, and we'll do, let's do 8, okay? It's usually a little bit more on the first step and a little bit less on the landing step, so. Oh, yes, better. That's takeoff flap still. Hey guys, if you're thinking about getting a timber for your first plane, I am not even gonna try to talk you out of it. Definitely do not set the elevator and the rudder the way I did because you'll probably end up breaking it in half. My first elevator and rudder on the Timber 1.5 was a little bit lacking. There's a barn swallow there, did you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I feel like we have a better chance now at success. Those flaps are gorgeous. The wing looks really nice. Full landing flaps there. Okay, we're gonna see if we can just use some cross control. Of course, we have something we haven't had all year out here right now, which would be called what?
Mosquitoes.
Yep. We haven't had mosquitoes. It's been so dry. This thing is so crazy powerful, and yet it's easy to fly. It's fun to fly. Is definitely not the Night Timber X, okay? This thing just does whatever you want, whenever you want it. I almost think the elevator is a little bit too responsive. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and turn my Expo up on the elevator from the initial 10% in the middle. I'll go ahead and do just a little bit more. And it looks like I could probably use just a wee bit more down trim. So we'll do that. There we go. Now we're on 4S Smart Pack here, but we do not have the AR637T or TA. So I'm not sure if the telemetry is going to tell me a warning. I don't think it will, because we're AR636B still. Okay, using the rudder. Just walking it in. Probably could have rammed it on the ground, but I don't want to. Man, that thing is gorgeous. Okay, I'm about 50% throttle here, and I know I'm gonna be suffering from power here in just a minute. Love that articulating gear, guys. My original Timber did like to do the little tip and touch. Front nose gear looks, or the nose lights look really nice on this one. Okay, so what was I gonna change? Camera crew, Expo.
Elevator.
Elevator Expo. I'm gonna run my middle to 20, my top rate to 30, and my bottom rate, we'll leave it 5. Okay, so if you wanna do some crazy aggressive maneuvers, you'll have that. Okay, we're gonna just test this real quick. Oh yeah, very, very good flying. That tamed it nicely. You can still do the crazy maneuvers when you want to, which is kind of funny. I get between the 3D performance of the Night Timber X and of course the original 1.5 meter Timber. Love the performance. Feel like I'm probably getting a little bit close on the power. And just so you guys know, I'm at 2 minutes 35 past my timer. I did have it on the ground for about 30 seconds. So I'd say 2 minutes past, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, we're gonna bleed off some energy here. Just gonna stay above the tree line just barely. Gonna try to bring it in here, do a nice tight cut with the rudder, and then try to put it down right in front of us. Yes, yes. Throttle cuts on, guys. Man, this thing is awesome. It really flies good. I mean, it's just as good as it looks. It's very effortless to fly. By the way, we used a new glue when we glued these down. It was a Horizon offering, so I figured I better try it since Horizon and me are like two peas in a pod. Mr. Fanboy Brian Phillips. Fowler flaps work great on this plane. I feel like this one takes just a second longer to get up than my 1.5, but that might have something to do with the fact that I upgraded the prop on that one to a 13.65 from the stock 12.6. There isn't that weird hesitation in the prop. You would get into this airspeed on the original Timber where you'd be going along and you would hear it almost braking. Do you remember that?
Oh, was that on the Timber?
Yeah. I don't remember that. I mean, I don't remember, I don't remember how fast I'd be going with it. But either way, you guys will know what I'm talking about if you have the original 1.5 meter Timber. The Turbo Timber UMX is just as good, and this thing is just as good. I don't know if it's better, but it's definitely just as good. Obviously, it still comes with floats. We have it equipped with the landing gear right now, and the landing gear work really nice. They splay out just like this. They actually work a little bit better after you beat them up a little bit. And these landing gear will have a tendency to want to walk on you after, you know, 30 or 40 flights. So just be watching for that. It's not a big deal breaker for me because this thing flies so good. I did notice that they sealed the ends of the ESC inside of here with this like silicone, that weird white goopy stuff that Horizon likes to use. It would almost look like a silicone really, but it's a glue silicone that they use. So whatever that is. Love the way the flaps work. The adjustments were kind of far off though. I could have actually liked to see just a little bit less down elevator correction. Let's change that now. Okay, so we're gonna go back into flaps. Let's go 6, and we'll go, let's do 12. That'll be fine. Okay, so throttle cut's on. We're gonna go ahead and switch out. And I know that it's really annoying having the battery on the bottom, guys, but it's a good plane. It's a really good plane. My battery did slip back just a little bit, see? Because I was so annoyed with dealing with this thing, I just stuffed it in there. This thing is gonna fly irrespective of that battery location. Now, is it gonna fly better if you have the CG exactly right and you sit there and dink with it and you've got a table that you can lay your plane upside down? I don't know, maybe. You'll get more consistent flights. But this thing with a 2200, it's not really gonna complain if it gets inside there. So that being said, we are gonna switch over to the 3300. Camera crew's got it. 3300 3S.
3200.
I'm sorry, 3200 3S. Yep. So our timer is going to be cleared for 4 minutes. Obviously, we're going to get more. We just charged these 2 days ago, so we should be at 100%. And was it 2 days ago or 3 days ago? But I want to show you guys what I was talking about. See, to get this one in, you're really struggling to get it in through the loop. So what I'm going to do is it's challenging to do this. Okay, I got the lanyard, I got the throttle cut on, I got the stick down just to double verify, okay? The EC3 connectors were horrible for situations like this, but the IC3 plus an EC3 does good. And the EC3s, the old EC3s had to be broken in really nicely before they would start working decent. In that they were so hard to plug in and so hard to unplug. But you see how easy that was, guys? Mm-hmm. So that being said, just have to kill the bloodsucker on me. Are you getting lots of mosquito bites too?
I'm getting a few, yeah. So I'm sure you're getting a lot.
It's fall, guys. Make no mistake. This whole week has been fall for us. Okay, so we have the battery in there. You'll notice that I'm not going to get super aggressive about my placement because, like, really it just doesn't make that big of a difference on this plane. But we'll show you what the CG looks like. I got a couple of dimples here. Same on the other side. Obviously, we'll go over that. On the front hole, we're just right there. And on the back hole, we're just maybe a little bit nose down, which is about what we want to see. So I like that actually better than the 2200 4S, but it's going to be a little bit less crazy being that we're on 3S. And to be perfectly honest, it's probably going to be a lot more fun because on 4S, you can get away with murder. So this is going to be pretty cool. Let's try a stole takeoff too. Ooh, we got the squeaky wheel. You hear it? Mm-hmm. So the tail wheel is squeaking. Metal on hard plastic. You'll get that once in a while, but I've always thought the landing gear was really nice on this plane. Okay, full landing flaps from a full dead stop. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember it taking so long in the non-turbo. Definitely a lot more power on 4S, but it looks awesome still. Oh yeah, I like the way it flies. The heavier pack tames it down just a little bit, and obviously having 3S versus 4 really brings it into a more scale appearance. And I'm really kind of getting on the elevator pretty hard too. Okay, takeoff flaps here. Not really doing a lot for coordination on the turns. Okay, landing flaps here. We'll just do a climb out here, show you. You will find limits a little bit quicker. It looks like we have a little bit of rudder adjustment we need to make. It was going to the left for us, so we'll try this now. Out of the flaps altogether. Okay, let's go over into the bowl, please. You want to trade spots there? Stay where you are. Maybe go to your right 4 steps. Thank you, camera crew. Guys, some of you don't pick up on all the little subtle cues that our camera crew and I have to work out while we're flying. It can be a little bit challenging at times. Man, that is gorgeous up against that green, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks really good.
Takeoff flaps there, guys. Just riding the elevator a little teeny bit. Probably just the difference between a 2200 4S weight and a 3200 3S. You'd think they'd be pretty close, and they probably are, but the 3200 3S has to ride a little bit further back with some of its weight. Right through the trees here. Man, that felt like really resistant.
Really?
Yeah. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. It's kind of got that like turbo-esque kind of noise. I love it. It'll do all the regular basic aerobatic tricks that you want to do. I'm surprised it flies so good upside down with those leading edge slats installed. I thought I would really deteriorate the upside down flight performance. The 4S just gives you enough power that you can get away with anything. Here we go. Just kind of feel like I'm having to trim a little bit more than I'd like. Probably a symptom of the battery shifting. You know what worked really nice in my original timber is I took some of this foam that I had. It was almost like a sticky foam that you would have that would be used for going around fuel tanks in the old gassers. And that worked phenomenally to hold the battery. And I'd basically just ram it in there. I'd wrap it and ram it. Works really nicely, guys, really nicely. That might be the ticket on this plane, so you don't have to fiddle with those stupid straps. Now remember, if you're flying on 3S, just to give you an idea, we're 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go, guys. There's our warning. So, 4-minute warning. A little bit more conservative flight here. Obviously, there's a little bit less you can do with the 3S. It's just not quite as ballsy. Definitely have enough to get the job done for sure. But I really did enjoy the 4S performance a little bit better.
It's a little more entertaining to watch.
I think so too. But you know, a lot of people want a longer flight and they're not going to fly like all crazy. They just want to kind of do a circuit. And I'll tell you what, oh, I didn't really do much safe stuff. Okay, so here's safe, guys. Let's show you the limited bank angles. Sometimes they're different on these planes. Okay, definitely have some rudder tie. You see how the nose tips over? Got to have some rudder tie there. Okay, so we're just pulling that all the way over. You can see it doing that. Okay.
I'm really fighting focus because of the rain that's starting.
Okay.
So
we're out of the throttle. Full flaps. Look how solid this thing is, guys. Let's see if we can stall it. It just doesn't want to, guys. Look at this. Look at this. That's full up elevator. I'm trying to screw it up and it just won't. So out of the flaps, out of safe. You want to try safe landing? Full landing flaps. You need a little bit more room for that. We'll show you what it looks like to fly safe. Obviously with safe, you do find yourself riding the sticks to the edges of the full extent. So what I mean by that is you have to really kind of crank it all the way over to get it to do what you want. So don't be surprised if you're not used to flying safe. Well, first of all, why are you flying safe? Second of all, if you want to fly safe, just keep in mind you need more room for every maneuver, okay? As in, don't fly next to tree lines like this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I got to stay away from that tree line. I'm using the rudder. Oh, good, we'll get there. We'll do grass landing too. Nice landing, me. Yeah. Safe, you did me good. But look how much less authority you have on there. Okay, so we're gonna come out of safe just to show you a little grass ground handling. I did cut the grass here. It's 3.5-inch cut height. Does just fine, it's very wet. One thing about these wheels is they will pick up a lot of moisture. So just be prepared for it. I just cut this stuff like about 20 minutes before we filmed. And when I say cut, I mean I just cut around the driveway. Okay, no flaps, take off, gets out of the gate just fine. Gorgeous takeoff. Love the way this plane looks. About 15% throttle there, coming in for a nice slow pass. Okay, take off flaps just to keep it from tip stalling on me, which it probably wouldn't tip stall at that speed. Guys, I want to see if I can get it to stall. I'm going to just go up to a little bit of altitude. We got 3 minutes 12 past our timer, which was 4, so that's 7 minutes 12. But keep in mind, we were on the ground for about a minute and screwing around. Okay, so I'm going to go out here, and I'm just going to pull up on the elevator about halfway. There you go. There's the way it stalls, guys. This is AS3X only right now. I'm using a little bit of rudder to keep it pointed straight, and it just does great. Out of there, and it just starts flying. Out of the elevator, and it just flies. This plane is rock solid. It's gorgeous. It has some great lighting on it. It flies super easy. Is it a first-time plane? If you wanted to make it a first-time plane, you might spend a little bit more money keeping it in good shape because it's a more capable plane. So if you're looking into doing this and making all the right moves, I would say that you might want to stick with something more like the Carbon Cub. 1.3 meter ready to fly would probably be an easier choice. And you're going to have a little bit more money tied up in this if you decide to do a bind and fly versus a ready to fly, because then you have to buy yourself a radio, you have to buy yourself a battery pack, you have to get yourself some sort of charger to charge your battery. Okay guys, this is, again, I'm at 4 minutes 37 past our timer, which means we've been flying legit for 8 minutes on this 3200 Smart Pack 3S, of course. That's a 30C if you guys were wondering. Take off flaps here. We're gonna go over the top of the tree line, right over the vampire killing zone. We're gonna yaw it in. We're gonna yaw it back. We're gonna use the ailerons for a little contrary input there, and then try to stick it. Okay, so it's down. This plane makes you look good because it's very easy to land. And you see I can just about kick it around from the center. That was pretty good ground handling. Very easy to get around on the ground. Coming out of the flaps now. Any final thoughts, camera crew?
Looks good. The lights are nice.
Let's grab the voltage alarm and test our packs.
Oh, I don't have it. Yeah.
I have it right here. So basically, I would say my thoughts on this plane are, I am exactly where I wanted to be, which was, I mean, I'm not overwhelmed because the 1.5 meter timber was awesome. It was a great plane in its day. And if you could buy them still today, they'd be a great plane today. I love the turbo timber. I love the way the nose looks. I love that there's accessibility to get in there and fix the motor. I love that. But how many times have I fixed a Horizon motor? Like actually?
Not very many.
I did when I was first doing this, I did.
The Sport Cub.
Okay, so while I dig this out, do you want to try to, oh, you probably can't hook up that 4S, can you?
I probably cannot all at once.
That's fine. I'll just do this.
I wish I had 4 hands. But
So guys, I would say the 2200 4S, if you're kind of debating, I believe they do have a kit, you know, like a starter kit that will come with the 3200 3S as well. But we're going to link to the stuff we reviewed today. We always have links to all this stuff. If you buy the stuff from the links, you really do help support our channel. So if you're going to buy it anyway, oh yeah, that's about perfect actually. So an 8 minute flight time is not incomprehensible. Now that being said, I didn't go crazy on it, partly because you can't. I mean, you just don't have as much power. Let's get that 4S. And I apologize guys, we should have probably tested this at the beginning. It's still a little bit warm.
It was pretty warm when you were done.
Oh yeah, 3.75. So that actually wasn't too bad either. What did we do, about 6 minutes?
Yeah, maybe just over.
A little bit over 6 minutes, but we had that landing in there.
Yeah.
So honestly, the 2200 4S, I would say the performance was better. I would say get out of jail free card style. It's better and it's worth the premium. Keep in mind a 2200 4S and a 2200 3S, they're like a few bucks apart. Just get the 4S on this one. If you can find that kit and you don't have the charger, you can get into them real cheap. And you know, if you start with something like this, that'd be a pretty big investment, but man, that is a cool plane. And yes, if you can get some help with the flight field, it's gonna make it so much easier. Obviously, you're not gonna go out your front door and do it unless you have a huge acreage or something like that. But this plane is great. It's a great STOL plane. It's gonna be a great water plane. I know from experience flying the 1.5 meter, This thing is gonna do just fine on water. The floats are not overly hard to do. When we get ready to fly it off water, we will do a video where we put the floats on. If you're curious about the way this thing performed on water, when I say the 1.5 meter original, we do have a video where a goose attacks us. So just saying. Anyway, anything else, camera crew?
No, it was good. I like it.
This plane is awesome. If you haven't already seen it, if you're not interested in it, no big deal. We appreciate you stopping by, but we're gonna go ahead and do the unbox. We're gonna review those little battery pack options, and then we're gonna go ahead and build and do the radio setup on this. So.
And if you want to skip the battery thing because you have it, look at the timestamps
Yep.
below because you talked about it for a little while.
I always timestamp stuff for you guys. I always do. So just go to the description. If you're on your mobile device, expand the description. You'll see it right there. Click on it. It's hyperlinked. You just go right there. It's no big deal, guys. So that way, because these videos are long and we know it.
That's the way we
So
like them.
that's right. Come back for more. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We've got something new right here. We're gonna open it right now before your very eyes. It's pretty exciting stuff. It's kind of a bigger box.
Maybe we can keep cans in it for our new friend.
Story time, guys. So, our new house, we had a visitor the other day. What is this? It's a turbo timber 1.5 meter. That is amazing. Okay, here we go. Good, it's not the kind that slips out lengthwise, because I always like have a really hard time with those. Yes, it includes optional use float set and leading edge slats. Okay, good. We will be installing the leading edge slats on this plane. Okay. Oh, and then also, ooh, that's a pretty box. It's gorgeous. This thing is dense, like it's heavy. Ooh. What a gorgeous plane. Looks a lot like the Timber 1.5 previously. The difference, of course, is the nose has that turbo timber nose to it.
Oh,
it's got
yeah.
the exhaust pipes that would be present on a turbo prop, which is a turbine engine that spins a propeller. We're gonna also look at these two packages today. If you guys aren't aware, Horizon's been offering these, which these are pretty sweet deal for people that are just getting into it. This plane is equipped with Safe Select, and so as a result, you can basically fly this plane as a beginner, but it probably would maybe not be the absolute best plane as a beginner, just for the simple fact that it is a fairly big plane. It's very capable. That being said, you can fly it, and you can fly it in ways that planes should not fly in real life. Well, that's not necessarily true, because some of these planes are really high performance, so they can do some crazy stuff. But here's the thing. When you have a plane with power, power saves lives, okay? These things are 4S packs. This one here has 4S 2230C Smart Pack. It comes with a smart charger, and then it comes with a picture of an airplane. And then this one's 3S 2200, and it's got the charger. So before we dive into the plane, which I know you guys are all waiting for, we're gonna dive into these charger packs, just because I want to make sure to show you what these things have inside. And I have historically not been doing unboxings on the batteries, just because it's a little bit lame. But I want you guys to see what comes inside these packs. If you're new to the hobby, batteries are expensive, okay? Feast your eyes on these expensive batteries. These are smart packs. Smart is a variety. It's a technology that Spectrum offers. That is a Horizon hobby company, just in case you're wondering. Okay. You'll notice that there's lots of different sizes. Like this is a 4006S. This is a 5006S. Okay, so that means 5,000 milliamps. And there's 6 of these cells that are in series, hence the 6S, 6 in series. Okay, 30C represents the speed with which you can discharge the pack safely. That also speaks a little bit to the speed you can charge it at, but this is actually representative by a 3C, or 15 amp charge rate on a 5,000 milliamp hour, also known as 5 amp hour pack, okay? Yes, that's a lot. Oh,
Got it.
this is an IC5 connector. Those batteries are going to have an an IC3 connector, okay? Those are compatible with other varieties. The EC connectors are compatible with the IC connectors. This has an extra lead for the smart data connection point. You see that little copper lead there in the middle, or gold lead? That is how we transmit the data information from the pack to the chargers or to the plane, the smart ESC, etc. Whoops. This is a 3200 6S, and as you can see, as you go down the line, they get smaller and smaller, and all the way down here to this little baby pack, which is 2200 3S. Yes, I believe we're probably gonna fly this plane on a 2200 3S or a 2200 4S, just to give you a size comparison. Okay, so that's the quick 10,000 foot view for those of you that are new to the hobby. This thing allows you to test the batteries, which is really nice. So you can just plug them in and test it. That's called the XBC100. And then we have a variety of chargers here. These ones are a little bit more premium. So if you're new to the hobby, you may not want to spend $100 and another $100 and some odd dollars. It just adds up quick. But you might get into something like this, you can charge 2 at a time, or something like this, you can charge 1 at a time, or better yet, you can buy one of these economy packs and you'll get the battery and the charger all at once, which is really nice because these planes come bind and fly. Now what that means is you use your transmitter. In my case, I have a DX18. This would be a more advanced radio, but it's also not made anymore. They don't sell the DX18. They do sell a DX8, a DX9, and then it goes up to the IX12 and the IX20 currently in the Spectrum lineup, okay? So you bind your radio system to the plane. That means you can bind it to this plane, you could bind it to the lap plane, you can bind it to this other plane, you can bind it to that other plane, and yes, I do. I have like 78 some odd planes in this radio right now. It's all backed up on an SD card, which is really nice. So that being said, why would you need one of these packs? Because when you buy a bind and fly, and you're new to the hobby, you don't want to have to go and spend hundreds of dollars buying all sorts of stuff before you're really 100% sure you're going to dive all in, okay? So that's why these packs are a really good value for somebody that's new to this hobby. So let's just open this up. Thanks for letting me know that was upside down, camera crew.
What? What's upside down?
I think it was upside down.
It was? Oh, sorry.
So we've got a couple of manuals. There is a power supply, and that's nice. It's got a drum style connector on it. It's not a USB style. See, in the inside there's a pin. On the outside, there's a sleeve. That's called a drum, okay? This plugs into the AC cord that goes into the outlet. I would assume that Spectrum is offering these with different styles of connectors for European audience, but I really don't know. So I'm just gonna speak to what I know, which this is for a 110 plug in the North American market, okay? So that plugs in there. Then this power supply is going to be, looks like what your laptop might have. 100 to 240 volts AC in with 19 volts at 3 amps out, okay? So that's gonna then charge through this little thing. You got a little protective cover on this thing. Oh, get off of there. Oh, look how pretty that is. Okay, so this little drum plugs in here like that. There is a cooling fan, and then it says, what is that? LIHV. So lithium, I forget what HV stands for. Then LiPo, then Li-Fi, then nickel metal hydride, I think. And so it's got 5 amps, 3 amps, 1 amp, and 0.5 amps. So you can set the speed that you're gonna charge your pack. So in this case, we have a 2200 milliamp smart pack. So we'll get that set up to charge real quick. And we'll basically we're just gonna run through this for these two packages so you can see how it works. Like I said, if you're new to the hobby, you could conceivably get this in lieu of spending a lot more for something like this before you're ready to dive in, okay? Once you've got this, you fly a couple of flights, you realize you're hooked, you keep coming back, watching thousands of my videos.
Literally.
Then,
or if you're,
here we go.
If you're considering switching over to the smart technology.
Yeah, LiPo, 0.5 amps. Okay, so this is a smart pack. So when you plug it in, I believe you press and hold it. You hear the noises? Mm-hmm. That changes with a quick press. So this thing is capable of charging at 6.6 amps. It says right there, 3C, max charge rate, 6.6 amps, which is 2.2 amps times 3 is 6.6 amps, okay? You can charge at 1 amp, and when this thing starts jumping, the little LED colors, then it's going, like it just starts, okay? You can charge it at 0.5 amps, or you can switch it to 5. Now, you can also switch to different battery styles, but I think in this case, you see how I only plugged in, this is the main discharge lead. That's an IC3. This is the balance charge lead, which is a Hextronics 3S balance lead, okay? So this is keyed, so it only goes in one way. There's a very difficult to see, almost indistinguishable minus sign right there. And then this is labeled plus and minus, but you can only put it in one way, okay? You don't have to worry about plugging those in backward. And then it immediately starts off, okay? So that's a pretty simple setup. So what we'll do is we'll jump into the 4S charger just to show you what comes in this package. These are really good values. They discount the equipment a lot, I believe, when you get these kits. So if you're getting them, they're actually cheaper this way. So you may want to think about it. Plus, sometimes if you're looking, here's a trick. If they're out of stock of the battery you want, you might find that this thing's actually cheaper. She didn't hear that from me. So inside here, same exact scenario. You've got the power supply. This one's the same exact power supply. It's 19 volts at 3 amps out. And then I didn't show you this on this side here, but it says what's expected, 19 to 24 volts DC. And it's expecting the output to be 17.4 volts DC at 0.5 through 5 amps, okay? And that's the maximum output, okay? Because this charger knows what size pack you're putting in here. So you could charge a 2S pack, you could charge a 1S pack, but there's not gonna be very many 1S packs with an IC3 connector. A 2S pack or a 3S pack, and then this one will also do a 4S pack, okay? So we'll just go ahead and open this up and show you how this works. Now, why would you want to jump up to the next charger before we jump into the next charger? Why would you want to do that, camera crew? Because you get to listen to all my spiels.
You have more ability to adjust your settings and speed and charge rate.
Yep.
And if you're doing anything bigger than a 4S, you're going to need
That's
a bigger
right.
charger.
If you have a 6S, can you charge it on this setup?
Nope.
What if you have a 5S?
Nope.
That was not supposed to be a trick question.
I was looking.
Okay, so if you have a 3S, you can charge it. If you have a 5S, you cannot charge it. 5S is kind of an irregular size, but yes, they do offer 5S. Yeah. Okay, so we'll just show you. This stuff is all fairly idiot-proof. You know, it's safe. You can, you know, if you have a kid that's using a car or an airplane and you want to kind of give them something that's a little bit safer solution. The good thing is, look at this, guys. I just want you to see this. The max charge rate for this is 6.6 amps. It's a 2200 milliamp cell, and there's 4 of them. That's why it's a 4S. This one here is a 3S, okay? So you can see it's a little bit thinner. So there's just one less cell in this pack. This distinguishes how long you can run for, and the 4 distinguishes how much voltage is there, okay? So that's what you use to determine, like if you want a longer flight time, you use a more milliamp hours. If you want more power while you're flying, then you would use a higher S. But most of the electronic speed controls and motors will be rated for a certain size. So on this plane, you can use a 3S or a 4S, which is why we're showing these 2 packages. Now, again, remember, you got a kid, you're not sure if you're really comfortable with them charging batteries. You say, kid, put it on a counter, something hard that's thick, that's not gonna transmit heat in case you have a fire. These things are some of the best batteries out there. I don't hear about fires, but things do happen. You need to be careful. These things, if they ever get puffed, if they ever get damaged, particularly pierced, do not charge them. contact your local garbage disposal agencies and just figure out the safe way to do it, and they'll help walk you through that. Just like if you're getting rid of a TV or a microwave or something like that. And, but anyway, yeah, these are a really economical way for you to get started if you're just getting started. Now, that being said, is this plane a good first plane? Maybe.
Really?
If you know how to fly,
Well,
if you know how to fly, if you have a good field where you can get some help, this would not be a bad first plane. However, it's not ready to fly. You would have to be buying this or like a DX8 or a DX8E. I would probably, you might be able to do a 6, but you want to be able to control safe without sharing a channel. So you're going to want to stay with a DX8 at the minimum. That's my predisposition. Actually, I might need this, won't I?
maybe.
So now that we've talked about batteries for a minute, let's show the people real quick why you would pick something like this instead. This is 2 channels. It's a 2100 smart charger. And then this is the S1100 smart charger. Okay, so that's just 1 channel, meaning you can charge 1 pack. So let's do apples for apples. We got a 4S 2200. We got a 3S 2200, which is just like what we're charging here. The cool thing is I can walk up to this with smart technology. You can plug it in, click and start. Whoops. And start. You can do it without the balance lead. And you can plug this one in, and suppose you want to plug in the balance lead. You plug in the balance lead, you click this, you click start, and there it goes. I'm charging at 2200, I'm charging at 2.2 amps, and I'm charging at 2.2 amps. You can switch the screen to see what's going on, or you can click twice to see what's going on for both. So now these are going to charge. Now, let's suppose I want to charge 2 of these packs. Well, this is a 4S and this is a 3S. So you can't really charge them at the same time if you're using a balanced charge board, something like this, because they're different cell counts. So you can't do that at the same time. But suppose you want to charge with one of the easiest chargers out there. Look at this. This is crazy. Plug it in. It's going to immediately ask you to plug in the balance lead. Don't even have to put in the balance lead. Why is that a big deal, camera crew? Here's why it's a big deal. Here's a 2S pack of a competitive brand, okay? This does not have the extra lead in the middle. This is an XT30 connector. It's smaller. It's got the same type of Hextronics connector for the balance charge, except that this happens to be this is a 3S. Okay, this does not actively balance the cells. Now, this is not an inferior battery, it's just different. This actively balances the cells and actively will discharge the cells after a predetermined amount of hours after the last charge. This also stores information about the charge cycles. That's a big deal, okay? This does none of that. It's just a dumb battery. This is a smart battery. Dumb battery, smart battery. Not saying it's a bad battery. This will fly a plane. It's just not going to keep track of all that good stuff. It's not going to stay flat like this. It's not going to stay puff free. I have beat the heck out of these packs and they do not puff. Here's an example of an e-flite, a high quality battery that's puffed, okay? See that? That's a new pack, okay? As in, I've only flown it 3 times. This has been flown, I don't know, 20 times. And it's totally flat. I mean, these ones kind of suck though. So anyway, that particular variety was a bad one. Now, why would you go to this? Because you have a power supply, you can pump in more power. Why would you go with this? Kind of the same thing. You can go up to a higher charge limit. You can charge faster. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug this in. I'll do the whole shebang for this one. Also, we use this to charge all of our camera gear when we're done working because it has 2 5-volt at 1 amp USB power supplies that come out the side. And yes, that does take power from the system, but it's no big deal. This thing can handle it. It's a 30 amp power supply. So the other thing I want to show you is when you press and hold this button, you can go into your settings or you can go into smart, okay? See this? You can say what you want to charge it at. You can say what current you want to charge it at. You want to do the auto storage setting. I have mine set to 240 hours. Now, what does that mean? That means after I do a charge sequence, this battery will start to discharge itself down to the predetermined charge value of 3.8 volts after 240 hours. So 240 hours, that's 10 days, okay? So that means you have all week long for a beautiful day. It's winter, it's crappy. I just need that day, but you don't want to destroy your packs. You set it a little bit longer. Now, if you want to make your packs last a little longer, you set that shorter. Maybe you set it to 72 hours or whatever your long weekend is or whatever. You charge it, it will automatically put itself into storage mode so that when you come back to this battery, this 4004S that you didn't know you needed in 2 weeks, it's going to be ready to charge, and you can charge it extremely fast right before you're ready to fly. And I'm talking in minutes. Then you can go fly.
You can also turn that feature off if you don't want it to
you can turn it off. But this thing will automatically balance the cells the whole time, no matter what, okay? So that being said, that's why I keep preaching to you guys about the smart packs. Now, along the same lines, what you can do is you can take a battery like this Admiral. This is a high quality battery. It's not super puffy, but I have beat the crap out of this thing for many, many, many moons. Okay, this is the type of thing you have. You know, you've got a little split in the exterior sheath. That's probably not good. The cool thing is this, when this was in its heyday, this is a 2S pack. This is a very good pack. I've used a lot of life out of it. I'm just gonna show you, you can still use the nice high quality chargers to charge these packs as well. Okay, so I just have a little adapter here. This is a 2S, so we're gonna plug that in there. That's 8.2 volts. I don't wanna charge at 4 amps, that's a little bit much. So I'm gonna click that and I'll just scroll it to 1300 milliamps, so we'll just do it at 1S. And there you go. So you can charge your dumb packs on these things too, guys. You're not losing anything. If you make an investment to get this charger, there was a time when I had these things sitting out all the time, and I was using this to charge through my balance chargers. I just learned it's stupid to do that. You just don't need to. Get this thing, it's awesome. If you're doing this a lot, just get this. Look how many batteries I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 batteries right now charging. Okay, I'm probably gonna break a circuit breaker.
Probably.
So anyway, that's my spiel, quick. Obviously, if you watch that whole thing and you still don't have at least one smart pack, do yourself a favor. Horizon is selling these 2S packs for pretty much the same price as what they were selling the crappy e-flite ones for. And I say that lovingly, Horizon, in case you're watching, okay? These are awesome packs. When they first came out, I called them the stupid packs because I thought it was just a ripoff. They're awesome. I have a whole garage of batteries out there. I haven't touched one except for one time, and it was to drive a radio controlled car since I got these. These are so much better. They last longer, they charge faster, they discharge better, they're more reliable. You almost never have a cell sag. What else can you say?
They look nicer on your kitchen counter.
They do. The only thing I don't like about the smart packs is that they have black lines like this, and then they have one positive marked. That's the only thing I don't like about these. They have the nice high quality silicone, and that would be the only thing I'd prefer, is that this one's black and then it was just colored like every other battery, because then you can tell how many cells there are more easily. That gets lost when you start getting into 6, 8, 10, 12S, okay? Because the colors have to repeat. Hey, remember this? We're gonna unbox this now.
Is that what we were doing?
So just so you guys know, I always timestamp my videos. If you're watching this and you're like, good Lord, this guy talks a lot about battery chargers. Yes, that's true. Because here's the thing, if you're flying airplanes and you don't have your batteries worked out, you're not flying airplanes, you're wasting time, okay? Trust me, all right? Trust me, I've been there. Okay, here goes the unbox. This is gonna be good.
There's cardboard on this side.
Okay, good. You never know. Usually this is about the time I drop it out.
Things fall off.
Hey, by the way.
What?
How many times have I opened a Horizon plane and had the plane damaged?
Ever?
I had one time they sent me 2 left or 2 right tail feathers.
But that wasn't
for
damaged.
the AT6.
Right. But it wasn't damaged.
Never.
It was just, yeah.
Never had a plane damaged.
I don't think so.
And by the way, some of mine come from China directly. Just so you know, okay? See this taped? Why do we do an unboxing anyway? Why do people care?
We don't know.
Exactly. No, people that are buying stuff online want to know that it's going to come in one piece. If you're spending this kind of cash on a toy, that's an awesome toy, you want to know that it's going to get to your house in one piece. And so we do the unboxings religiously so that you guys can make up your minds without having to take the plunge.
Cat over there.
I almost damaged the wall with my cardboard.
You're the one that fixes the wall.
Oh, yes. That is a gorgeous wing. Ooh, yes. Look at that huge control surface. Oh, nice. Wow. Gorgeous. Totally gorgeous. Do you see that, guys? It's fallored. So it's got this shape and it wraps inside. Gorgeous. Then that's kind of mean on your servos. But look at how gorgeous it is. The decal's not applied very good right here. You see that?
Yeah.
You know why that is? Because these mold release bumps. Okay, so we have 3 connectors here. One's for lights, one's for aileron, one's for flaps, rather. And as you can see, that is really cool looking. Oh, look at this gap. That is so cool. So obviously flaps help to slow the plane down. We've got the LEDs here. One's gonna be a bright strobe, one's gonna be a green. These things peel off, and then that's where you're gonna put your leading edge slats on, so we'll get to that. In the build part, obviously we will timestamp the video. Got some extra plastic to keep the components from sticking to one another. Tail feathers here are packaged together. Got a little bit of plastic to keep them from sticking together again. Also to hold down on the static electricity. Okay, embedded foam hinges here, okay. Let's look at that through the light, guys. See them? They're actually they kind of blend in nicely because they're almost like clear. But you hear that? The foam had to break. That's a pinch hinge. Okay, so that's actually part of the molding process. So you want to work those just a few times. See, real stiff. Okay, just take the edge off and you should be good to go. And then later when we assemble this, that helps to tie the left portion of the elevator and the right portion of the elevator together, which, I mean, that's just the elevator, guys. That's pretty cool. Horizontal stabilizer and elevator. All right, we got some spars here. Oh man, that is a big spar. Okay, there's a metallic spar for the horizontal stabilizer. And I'm guessing there's probably a, wow, that is thick. Look at that. That's the wing spar for the main wing. Carbon fiber, obviously. They've got foam wrapped around it like it's gonna get scratched or something. I don't really know what would
broken.
Like I'd think if you drop this out of the airplane from UPS, it'd probably, you know, like it'd be one of the things that survives in the airplane crash. Be like the carbon fiber spar from the timber made it. Oh man, I should have cut the tape. That would have been smarter.
It would have.
But look how strong that is. Oh man, that is, here, feel it.
Oh yeah, what am I gonna do?
It's strong, it's thick. I love that. You can even hear it, that's awesome. Okay, so be careful with this one. This one's your leading edge slats. I kind of bent it a little bit when I did that, that was dumb. I'm gonna actually cut this with a knife because I don't wanna put so much effort into that as I did last time. So guys, if you haven't been with us for long on this channel, what do we do here? We open planes, we put them together, we sometimes modify them, and then we usually fly them, unless they're just like really bad, which even then we fly them.
That doesn't happen very often.
But we've had pretty good luck.
Fly some really bad stuff.
I think we've had, maybe we could count on one hand planes that are so bad. And when they're that bad, we just don't bring them to you guys.
Yeah.
That's not to say that if we haven't reviewed something, it's bad. It's just, we just haven't gotten to it yet. There's so many planes. Okay, so these are real flimsy. And that's actually a good thing because this will be the thing that you pick up and you accidentally bump. And
Yeah.
It's like a little airfoil. And what that does is that goes onto the leading edge of the wing. It's called a leading edge slat. It's actually called a slat. It's mounted to the leading edge. So this is a fixed slat. On some airplanes, the slats deploy when there's separation. So they'll actually fall out with a hinge mechanism. Sometimes they're active, like on a Boeing 737-9. The molding here represents where the leading edge slats would be. And so as part of the takeoff and landing procedure, the flaps would deploy, and then these would drop way down. And they actually called a droop on that, I think. And then some other planes actually roll out from the bottom. So it just depends on the plane, depends on the manufacturer and the size of the wing. And obviously on a plane like that, they've got big hydraulic systems that drive all that stuff. Okay, so on the end of this box, there is what appears to be maybe some nutsack here. Oh, it's a wing joiner for the top. It's got 2 plastic bolts. Do not lose that, guys. If you lose this, you're not putting your plane together. There's also a bind plug in there. Not sure if that's everything. Okay, so that's everything on that end. Also with Horizon products, when you open them up, always check the bottom of the foam, because a lot of times there's a manual on the bottom taped flat and it's very easy to miss. On this one, not so much so far, because you have to get to both sides to get all the components out. Okay. Now, back in the day, these are bind and fly basic, I believe is what that's called. They used to be bind and fly. See how it says bind and fly basic right there?
Yep.
It used to be bind and fly included a battery and a charger, everything but the radio transmitter. But now bind and fly basic comes with the plane with the receiver installed and everything set up and ready to go, with the exception of your transmitter, and you have to provide the battery and of course charging mechanism. That's why we showed you these. These do not come with this plane, but you can order this with your plane. But I would just order one battery and then the charger if you want to have both sizes. It'd be a little cheaper, unless those are in stock and the batteries are out. The other thing too is, while we're talking about stock issues, guys, there's this little thing going on.
What?
There's a little thing going on called a worldwide pandemic. So if you're worried about stuff being out of stock, first world problems, people, okay? Seriously, stuff is out of stock because people over in China are having a harder time with this.
But just back order it, and then
Just back
it'll be
order
on
it.
the list when it gets here.
If you don't back order, in a month, you're gonna wish you back ordered.
Yep.
Okay? And I think the way it works, don't mark my words on this, but I believe the way it works is if you back order with Horizon, you can order what's in your cart and you can back order items within that order. And then when they ship, I believe you get charged. But just double check with them before you make a big order and blame me for it. I just know the times that I've done that, it's worked out nicely. Okay, so they have a nice manual here, shows the pictures, shows information about kind of how things unbox, so you can make sure the contents are all there. Shows a flight timer of 4 minutes, probably with the 2200 3S or 4S, I'm assuming. And it's going to tell you that right here. They're recommending a 3S or 4S 2200. Now, why are they recommending such a small pack, folks? Why? Because this plane is going to balance out and it's got the battery up at the nose. So there's just a certain spot where it'll fit and it's small. You might be able to get it with 3000 milliamp and you go a little bit longer, but I don't know yet. So we're going to wait to share that part. Okay, obviously we got the other wing here. Everything looks good. I always look over these things. These dimples kind of annoy me though. Can you see that on camera? See that?
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, but it's just kind of annoying. I just flatten them out. If you really want to take care of them, you take an X-Acto knife and just pierce each one and they will never do that again. Because what'll happen is sometimes these decals, they use a mold release on this foam when they're molding this, and when it lets go, like this is one big decal here, guys, just so you know. This is all one big plastic decal. Back in the day, they used to do a black piece and a black piece and a black piece and a black piece, and these would catch the wind and they would start to peel, and then your plane farts like, it's really annoying. Okay, squishy wheels. Yeah, here, squish them. Yes,
Yes.
they are squishy. That's good. They look like they're 3D printed, but they're probably more like milled. Okay. One of the best features of the Timber 1.5, the original one that I've got downstairs, and this plane alike is this splaying landing gear. They got a spring here and it just makes for an awesome landing experience. I'm super excited to share that with you. If you haven't already seen the Timber, obviously we have the Timber UMX here. That's the Turbo Timber UMX to be specific. And the Turbo Timber UMX is a lot smaller. This is the 1.5 meter variant. They also make a 1.2 meter Timber X, and then they make a 1.2 meter Night Timber X. Is that right? We have the Night Timber X on this channel. If you haven't seen it, check the link in the descriptions below. Or just go to my playlist and you can find any plane that we reviewed and you can see what we had to say about it. It's awesome. This one's gonna fly more like a plane. That one's gonna fly more like a 3D plane, okay? One of the best reasons to deal with Horizon is right now. Oh, that is gorgeous. There is a key right here that's forcing me to pull this thing out kind of goofy. Yep, it fell out. You see that? That key, packaging only, not for flight. That goes right there and it holds the fuse from moving forward. You know why? To keep this nose from being damaged and protruding through the end of the box.
Yep.
Again, packaging on a Horizon plane is one of the best parts of the plane. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but how often have we had damaged planes from Horizon? Never.
And how often have we had
We've
damaged
had,
planes?
on my Timber 1.5, I had a couple of different issues, but they were really small. They were like minor cosmetic things. They weren't damaged in shipping. Oh, that is gorgeous. This has a 636B, an AR 636B. Beautiful exhaust tubes. Love the way those look. Front facing lights, very bright. Of course, you got the motor mount is metal. That's always good. Everything on these planes is serviceable. Undo these two screws. You should be able to pull this whole thing off. You can get to this, see up in there, there's your ESC, okay? They have covered the ends with silicone glue to protect it from water splash. Guys, look at this. Look how gorgeous this is. Little brother, big brother. That is so cool. Gorgeous. This thing is a blast too. If you don't have one of these UMX Timbers, one of the best, hands down, UMX planes. Second only to, because I'm obsessed with airliners, this thing, which is the Cessna Longitude. It's the Cessna Citation Longitude. They call it the Citation Longitude UMX. So that's another one. Awesome plane. Okay. I don't mention the Chinese one because it's Chinese. And it's not made by Horizon. And that plane, I don't know. I don't even know if you can ship them out of China right now. That's the problem, because Hong Kong is having problems.
Yeah.
Which is too bad. Sorry, Hong Kong. Not because of Corona, because of other things. All right. So we have float number 1. As you can see, we have a spring loaded, a spring return to center. Okay. So that's going to bring this back, and then we have a pull system that's going to go up to the steerable nose gear. And when you hit a log or something like that, or suppose you're landing on the ground with floats, which you can do that in snow, it's very fun. This thing will fold out of the way, which is really nice. I don't remember that being folding on the old one, but it may have been, and I'm just not remembering right.
I like that they put decals on the floats on this. They look cooler than just the white.
Yeah, I agree. And they match the plane really well. Plus, this is a splash guard. It looks like, what could that possibly do? Just wait and see. It does a lot. These are going to be struts to assemble the floats. We're not going to be flying this in float mode. We're going to be flying it with landing gear right now. That doesn't mean that we're not going to eventually put floats on this. It just means we're not doing it right now. You've seen same thing, okay? I'm just going to leave these. I wanted to open it so you could see what it looks like. Everything is fine there. Okay, so we've got the other wheel. We're going to cut this out. Same assembly. The wheel pants, or fairings, if you will. I guess that's technically a fairing, not a pant. A wheel pant would actually go around the wheel. A wheel fairing, or in this case, a landing gear bogey fairing. I'm not sure what you would call that. That's what this thing is. It's made of plastic. It's very simple. It's glued to a metal, strong, folded reinforcement on the landing gear, okay? These things will splay out and make for really scale looking landings and takeoffs. They just look gorgeous. And then that squish in the tires, Horizon, you need to be doing more of that stuff. Okay, so what do we have here? We're gonna show you what the beeping is in a minute when we get these all unboxed. Okay, so we got the prop, we got the spinner. If you're new to flying and you are just getting this maybe as a beginner plane, you might think about ordering a spare prop when you order your plane. By the way, these things are kind of sharp, so be careful.
You have scissors.
Huh?
Where are your scissors?
I don't know, I have a knife over here. Oh. Okay, so what this is the assembly for the spinner, the propeller. It's a 3-bladed prop. And then this is called a collet. And so basically when we have a Phillips screwdriver, we'll loosen this, it's gonna come apart, and then we can use that to actually bite the prop shaft, which in this case is the motor shaft here. So then that'll bite and then it spins. So it's a pretty cool setup. Really simple, common setup for radio controlled airplane with an electric motor. If you guys have been into flying for years and you're just getting out of gas and you're going to electric or you're giving it a shot, this would be a great place to start. Very good quality plane. It's gonna be big enough to give you some of that, what you're used to, because you know gassers don't get a whole lot smaller than this. In fact, they usually get a little bit bigger than this. I would say about double the size on typical. This piece is a little bit weird. I'm not sure exactly how to take it out. Do you see that?
Oh.
I wonder if there's
It
a
comes out the end.
huh?
There's a slot in the end.
Yeah, I know, but like, oh, okay, all right, I got it. You kind of pull it out and rotate it, and then you could do that. Once you give them a shot from, oh, there we go. I got it unlatched. So basically, I had to kind of deflect the foam just a little bit to get it out. No big deal. Didn't damage anything. That's some dense foam. So these are gonna be for the floats. So I am actually gonna leave those in the bag. These are steel. They give a little bit, which is nice. When they work together, they're gonna be very strong and sturdy. Okay, so that goes with this assembly. If you like the floats and you wanna see how to put them together, they're really not that hard, but doing it the first time is a little bit tricky because you have to tie off a string so that you can manipulate. You have to manipulate from these. This is how you control the little water rudders, okay? So it's not hard, just takes a little bit of effort. And we'll show you where the battery goes. This is what I was referring to earlier. You notice that this does not have a, this has an EC3, which stands for e-flite connector, and 3 is just the size class. They also have an EC5 and they had an EC something else, and I forget what it is. But anyway, this will work with an IC3. They are compatible, okay? And the battery is gonna go in here, and you can kind of see what I was talking about. There's only so much room to get that pack to relax into this angle, okay? So I'm just gonna let you guys know, worst part of this plane is the fact that the battery goes in the bottom. That is by far the worst part. Beyond that, it's pretty much a flawless plane. Like, great plane, really good to fly, beautiful plane. I'm kind of a sucker for the carbon cub, and so my preference is toward the carbon cub, but this plane flies phenomenally. It's got great lights. It's a very good price point. It comes with floats, which is nice. Big light here, big light there. Is there a tail light? There is no tail light. I added a tail light to mine. It'd be nice to see a tail light on a plane like this, but being that you have so many lights, you could definitely tell what direction you're traveling. That's the reason for the tail light. Do you guys see that? Mm-hmm. That's the noise you heard. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pause. We'll get some things picked up, but let's talk about these batteries that are beeping. This is what happens when you have a battery that's complete. You come over here, it tells you how many milliamp hours it's charged. When it's blue like this, that means that it's kind of just working on balancing and stuff, but you can stop it at this point. Okay, so I'll unplug this. This is the Admiral pack, just so you can see that you can charge your other dumb packs. The This one's done. Just click once, it stops. So this battery is ready to go. This one's at 95%. This one is done, so we can just click here. Done, that put 997 milliamp hours, so you can kind of keep track of how much power you're forcing in there. And then this one is gonna be done, see it's at 96, it was just at 95. So it's gonna be done fairly quick. It also tells you how many milliamp hours have been forced in. So this is 1,016 milliamp hours and counting. This is a 2,200 milliamp hour pack, which means that we've put about 50% back into it, okay? Keep in mind, if you don't know anything about lithium polymer packs, you operate from 4.2 volts at max. Anything above that, the chemistry gets unstable, so don't do that. It's dangerous. Anything below about 3 is not considered stable, so the chargers freak out. If you try to use them below that, you may have to cheat them back to voltage. Okay, this one looks like it's either full or it's getting very close to full. So I'm just gonna click. See how it changes when you click? So this one must be done. Let's check. I can't tell which one's beeping because like everything's beeping.
Yeah.
If you only had one, you'd be able to tell. So we'll plug this into the smart checker. Whoops, I plugged it in the wrong end. By the way, that doesn't hurt this thing. You would think it would, but it doesn't. Okay, oops. Okay, so we're at 4.99, that's good enough, okay? It's considered to be 100%. So now I'm gonna click and I can do all sorts of cool things with this. Or I can go back and I can press and hold the button. And now I can set my storage charge, okay? Charge current's at 5.5. I want to change that down. I usually charge at 1C. Can you see, camera crew? Jeez, went so fast. 2.2 amps because this is a 22 milliamp hour, 2200 milliamp hour. And storage voltage, 3.8 is fine. And the storage hours defaults to 72 hours. I'm going to set mine to 240. If you guys want to have your batteries last a little bit longer. Okay, back. Okay, so that's set. It's ready to go. This battery is good to go, so we'll go ahead and use that one first because it's brand new. This one is getting pretty close to being done. And this one is still cooking. So you'll notice that this one took longer to charge. Why would that have taken longer to charge, camera crew?
Well, you're only charging it at 0.5 amps.
And it's a 4S pack, so you're actually producing more electrical load on this, okay? All right, so now this charger's done. It can be unplugged and put away somewhere safely. They work pretty good. That would be a great way for you to get into the hobby in terms of charging a smart pack. Now, if you're just starting into the hobby and you're like, you know what, I can't afford smart packs, here's what I'm gonna recommend. Go find the cheapest, crappiest 2200 milliamp 3S pack. I'm telling you, you can probably get them from China for like $7 or $8 shipped, okay? If you look hard. And these things are gonna cost you what, like 12 bucks? So if you're buying it with your plane, you're not gonna pay any shipping. So let's just figure on 25 to 50% more money. I guarantee you that this battery will give you twice the, not necessarily twice the flight times, but you're gonna get at least twice the life out of it, and it's gonna be a better life. So when you consider that thing, just consider that when you're making your decision. I'm not saying you can't buy the cheap stuff. I mean, I've linked to cheap stuff for a long time. I used cheap stuff for years, and I was fine with it for years. This stuff is a lot better. I'm just looking out for your long-term interests. This battery has not puffed at all. The battery that I was flying in this, the predecessor to this, the Airbus A330-600 that's like 6 feet long, that pack was like instantly puffed. When you fly EDF planes, you're mean to your batteries. I'm just telling you that because you need to know that. It's a real thing you gotta be thinking about. And by the way, when you get a 30C pack from Horizon, it's 30C. That's usually generally like a quality measure. When you get a 60C pack from Turnigy, it's probably closer to like a 20C from Horizon, okay? Just, that's been my experience. And I used them for years. So anyway, we're gonna pick up, and the next thing we're gonna see is the build. We're gonna assemble this thing, and then the last thing you're gonna see is the radio setup. And of course, you've already seen the flight because we've been starting our videos with the flight. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so we're back. We're gonna assemble this Turbo Timber by e-flite, which is a Horizon Hobby product. We've got the batteries charging. We already talked about that in great detail right before right around the unboxing period. And we are gonna start with the first thing that everybody should have when they're building these planes, and that's the manual. We're gonna look at the manual for just a minute. We're just gonna scroll through real quick. Okay, so we need to have 2200 3 to 4S. Okay, that should be pretty easy. Talks about the dual rates. I'm not going to set up dual rates. Center of gravity is 60 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing without slats at the fuselage. So we need to try to remember to mark that. In fact, we're going to do that right now. These batteries are both done, which is nice. So we're ready for that when the time comes. Just super nice. We got the 4S here. This one's the one that came in the package. These are some extra packs that will be ready. And then this is charging. It probably just got done actually. That's probably the one we heard beep because those were already done. And so if we just plug that in, 96. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the done one. We'll just plug it in over here so it gets done a little bit quicker. If you only have one in the room charging, it's a lot easier to tell which one's beeping because the beep is exactly the same. Also, this one, we didn't actually set up the settings. So I'm gonna see if I can select this, press and hold the button, press and hold the button. Okay, then I can go to, I wanna see if I can do system information. Channel 2 smart, so I'm on channel 2. Storage voltage is that. The charge current I want to set to, let's set that to 2.2 volts or 2.2 amps rather. I like to charge them at about 1C. And then it's set to 72-hour discharge, auto discharge. So I'm going to set that to 240. Okay. So 240 hours. Then we'll go back and then we'll just click and start. So that's just gonna finish up that little bit of charge that's necessary. Now, you've seen we use this thing to set those smart variables, but you can use the smart chargers to do that as well. So, without further ado.
Wait.
What?
You came over here to get your thing to mark the CG.
That's right. I came over here to get my thing to mark the CG.
What is it called?
The calipers?
Yes.
The plastic calipers.
They're really high quality. I can't believe you would forget that.
These things are ultra high quality. And I'm gonna use a blue marker to match the blue colors. Okay, so without the leading edge, 60 millimeters back, which would be 6 centimeters, plus or minus 5. So come over here, people. There's 6. We're gonna go to 55, and we're gonna make one mark. Now, this plane we're gonna test with the wings above our fingers and the fuse hanging down. So I'm just gonna come in here and see if there's, first of all, already a mark. There does not appear to be a mark. So I'm gonna just take this at 55 millimeters in, 5.5 centimeters. I'm just gonna make a bump, and then I'm gonna go to 65. Okay, and then I'm gonna make another bump, okay? So you notice I did a bump and I didn't actually mark it with my blue marker, okay? The reason I did that is because I'll be able to feel that, and plus the blue's not gonna show up very good, okay? In fact, I'm gonna get a pen, and the pen is gonna have a relatively sharp tip on it, and I'm just gonna poke through there. Just penetrate it, good. Just get a good penetration in there.
Jeez, I can't believe you would do that.
Yep, that's right. You better believe it. So now I'm just gonna line these two wings up so that it's very easy to tell where I'm gonna mark them, which is gonna be, it's gonna be about like yay far in. Okay, so I'm just kind of making just a little bump with my fingertip. And the reason I'm doing all this now, okay, so we're at 65. The reason we're doing this now, okay, so there's the first bump, and then we're gonna go to 55. And the second bump. Then I'm gonna take my awesome pen and just get some good old ram action in there. Okay, should be able to feel that just fine. Feel this, and then I just know that the pad of my middle finger in this case is gonna rest between those two bumps. So it should work out pretty awesome. And then we can install the leading edge slats when we get to that spot, which we do have some new glue we're gonna try for that, and I'm hoping it works good, because if it doesn't work good, it does look a lot like toothpaste.
It does.
So don't get confused when you get this. This is called Foam to Foam, Foam Safe by Deluxe Materials. So this is available from Horizon Hobbies website. I usually use mucilage, but we're gonna try this today and see how awesome it works. It may be better, it may be worse, I don't know, but it's made in UK, the United Kingdom. So we'll see. It's not China. It's not China.
It's not China.
It's not China. Okay, getting back to the point, guys. Okay, we have all this stuff. That's set. We have a 4-minute flight timer. We'll set that shortly. We're gonna do the assembly and radio setup later. This is where we're gonna look for the computerized transmitter setup. In our case, we've got a DX18, which is here. So we're gonna go to this box when we're ready. If you had something else, you'd go to different boxes, okay? Looks pretty similar to what we did before. I think on this plane, yep, that's where we assemble the wings. Okay, so we'll get the fuse done first. I usually just kind of blast through the manual quick. Thank you, Tom, for this thing. We have the full shebang. Look at this, the US Postal Service did not actually ever get those to me. Robart resent them so that he could send them to me, which was awesome. Thank you, that was nice. We appreciate that, Tom. Okay, so I believe the first thing we're doing is we're doing landing gear. So the way this plane stand works is you can pivot these things, and you can use this foam to help kind of stop the foam from sliding off the other foam, because a world made of foam is what we live in. All right, so the landing gear, there's a left and a right, and it's not exceedingly clear. If you're not new to building models, the fairing should go back. Okay, so let's show the people at home what we're doing here, camera crew. So there's a spinny thing in here, there's a flat. There's a spinny thing in here, and there's a flat. This thing goes on top of that thing, and then the screws align, and they hold into that thing, like so, okay? Give them a better angle. Once you go to the tail of the plane. This is gonna get screwed in here at some point, okay? So you see how that works? So that is allowed to pivot free. I'm having visions of this digging into the foam on rough landings. But maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. They do have this little relief here so that when it does bend, it doesn't cut off. If a guy was concerned, you could just cut that a little bit. I'm not that concerned. They're recommending that we do what looks to be this side first, and that makes sense because this assembly is on this side first, okay? So this is where we're gonna start with. And my assumptions were correct, except that it looks like they want you to put this in this point, not there. It goes here, okay? All right, so now we need to get hardware. Could you hand me the nut sack? Thank you. Bolts, sorry, bolt sack. Camera crew, would you kindly hand me the screwdriver that's over there? Okay, we got bind plug in here. We can just lay that off to the side. Obviously, we've got the wing joiner, that'll be helpful for the wings. We've got the 2 nylon bolts, that'll be helpful for the wings, so we'll lay those aside. We have a few different bags. These are all bolt sacks. There's no nut sacks at all in here. What the heck? That's weird. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, and then we have 3. Now, 3 of these are for those 2 points. Those 2 points bite the string that goes from the landing gear. Our landing gear assembly stuff is right here. As I typically do, when I'm done, I'll put all that stuff in a bag and I will like tape it to itself and write timber on it because I have enough planes now, it's hard to keep track. This and this look mysteriously similar. See that, guys? These are thicker shafts and these are thinner shafts, but they have the same coarse thread plastic bite. These are gonna be a fine thread plastic bite. There's probably gonna be, these are self-tapping button head. Self-tapping button head. So we're using 3 of those. No, 3 by 10 millimeters. Would it kill him to write 3 millimeters by 10 millimeters, or am I missing something?
No, it's always confusing.
Because they're saying there's 3 of these, and then there's 2 of those, but there's only, are they saying 3 of them, or are they saying 3 millimeters by 10 millimeters?
Install the 2 3 by 10 millimeters.
There we go. 2 3 by 10. Okay. And then 2 6 millimeter. Okay, so those are 10 millimeter long. All right, I guess I got to get the calipers. What an annoying step. Come on, Horizon, make those drawings the right way. We can't tell what they are.
Or at least attempt to label the bags.
They used to label the sacks, okay? They'd be like A sack, B sack, C sack. And that was super nice. Except for when they were wrong, which is not so nice. Okay, so we're gonna measure these. All right, so these are, that is, I'm gonna call that 9 millimeters.
That's not a choice.
Okay, so I'm gonna measure the whole head, and then that becomes 11.
Still not a choice.
So the shaft length is what you're measuring, is probably a little bit close. Let's just call these 10. These are 10 millimeters. Okay, now what are these? Let's see if they're longer. I bet they are. Of course, they're barely longer. No, they are a little bit longer. These are like almost, I would call that like 12. These are like 12 millimeters. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. I know what these are because these go into the fine threads of the steel.
Right.
Okay, so these for sure go here. So they are not the correct ones, okay? So these ones are gonna go into the, they show them up here. 8 millimeters. 8 millimeters? Really? Okay, whatever. These are useful for when you need to put small amounts of items into bags, and then you can, you know, like if you need something to sell, you could put it in there and then you could sell it. Be convenient. Or you could use them, you could use them for all sorts of other things. So yes, I have a number 2 screwdriver. It's a little bit large for this, but it's actually kind of works. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick this right here, slide this under. There's 2 little retainer clips. This is a tricky assembly the first time you do it, okay? So remember, you have to spin these to get the flat up. Otherwise, you'll have the round up, and you're like, why does this not fit? Well, it won't fit because the round is up, okay? Uh-oh, uh-oh. I think that's it. Now, what's a little bit annoying about this is that technically, this thing is allowed to pivot, okay? And so it's a moving mechanism, and yes, it's aluminum on steel or steel on steel or whatever it is on whatever it is. It's metal on metal, okay? I am predisposed to put Loctite on this, except that Loctite tends to eat plastic. So if you do insist on using Loctite on this assembly here, be very careful and sparing. The only way to be 100% safe when you've got close proximity to plastic is to put the Loctite onto the screw shaft, get it in the threads, and let it dry. I'm not doing that.
Have you ever done that on a plane?
No. But dry Loctite will still work, okay? It's better, I think, to have it wet because it's easier to get in and out.
Well, I mean.
So those 2 screws are gonna hold this side. These 2 screws are gonna hold that side, okay? So since it's allowed to move, we are correct. That's good. Now I just need to figure out which one of these. See, this is where your drawings suck. Look at this. Like which one of these is right? That clearly looks like this screw, but not like these 2 screws. And this clearly doesn't look like any of them, you know? So it's a little bit annoying. I'm gonna try the actual size test. Let's try that. The ones that I took back over to the dining room table were obviously correct. Yeah, that's not it. That's
No, not close.
Definitely not right.
Well, the 8 millimeter picture is bigger than the 10 millimeter picture.
These are thicker, these are thinner.
Well, these are supposed to be shorter. those are supposed to be shorter than those, but they don't look.
They're 2 millimeters wide by 6 millimeters long. These are 3 millimeters wide by 10 millimeters long. So let's use our handy dandy. These are the world's crappiest calipers. Again, if I had digital ones, I could probably tell easier. So that would be arguably 1, 2, 3. That'd be 3. So yes, that's the first and only definitive result we've gotten.
Okay.
So now 3 by 10 would be, this is 10, okay. So this is where Tom is like, I'm sending you calipers. Tom, you can't send me calipers. Don't do it. I have calipers. I'm just too lazy to get them, okay? All right, so here, these ones appear to be 2 millimeters. So yeah, I think we firmly established that we have those right. The weird thing is those 2 aren't actually used because they're already installed. So this has got to be used maybe for the tail feathers. So anyway.
They should let us like count votes or something. Would be.
What are you talking about? Oh, you want me to take a YouTube survey to figure out where to put my screws? Which hole do I stick it in?
No, I think we got that part figured out.
Do we? So here we go. We're just going to try this. That does feel like it's going in. It's not excessively difficult to tighten, which is good. So I think we're good there. Now, obviously, guys, if you hadn't figured this out on your own, this is where you'd be sliding in the frame for the floats if you were doing it. And then secondarily, you would take this out and then your frame for the back would stick in there and then you would reinsert the screws. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward stuff. Now that we have that ridiculous, nonsensical step taken care of that shouldn't even be a question, Horizon, I know, process of elimination, I get it, I'm with you there. But at the same time, like, guys, don't, like, ow, just kidding. It didn't hit. It didn't hit me that much. I should start wearing steel-toed boots for this.
You should.
It's a pretty dangerous activity. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do this. So as you can see, the way the landing gears splay out now, it's uncontrolled. It's gonna be controlled when I, of course, get the connection between the 2 spring mechanisms together, okay? So they're recommending mounting these first, whatever. It's not exactly rocket science, guys. Okay, we're gonna pause it. So I got a cheap Chinese screwdriver from a Free Wing, maybe? Or that might have been from like an Eachine product, I don't know. I lose track, but the thing is, some of these Chinese screwdrivers are like the best screwdrivers. Ooh, you see what happened, guys? I hit this little clippy thing. So I just happened to have this positioned in a horrible angle. So now I gotta kind of hold it up a little bit. You see what happened there, guys? Don't do that. Okay, so that moves freely. Okay, now I need to tighten that one in, and then I need to undo this plastic if you want to give me a shot from this angle for a second. That actually works better on that screw too. So the Chinese screw wins again. Oh yeah, this is a nice screwdriver. It's got like big thick ribs on the sides so you can really like get in there and push hard on it. It's a type that's really strong until it breaks and shoots in your eyeball.
Exactly.
How many times has that happened to me?
More than once.
I hate it when it shoots in my eyes. Okay, so we're gonna undo this. And we'll put that down. And then we just only have to loosen this side because I don't wanna let the whole thing fall apart. I'll fold this open for you guys at home. See, there's just a little groove there. And that groove will receive this side of the spring. And once you fold that over, it's gonna bite into the middle there. And then I'll show you what the assembly looks like here in just a second. Okay, so we'll tighten this down and just wanna make sure that it gets into the groove and it doesn't crack the case on that little assembly. Oops. By the way, this goes with saying, if you have longer fingernails and you have not, or like if you've been living in a basement for 3 or 4 months and you just haven't groomed yourself, you may want to do that before you handle these foam planes, because your fingernails will gouge viciously if you're playing. I'm serious. So groom yourself before you do this. Okay, here we go. So we got splay here and a splay here. So then we can see what it looks like. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Guys, it looks really good. I like it. It looks really nice. And then when you come in for a landing, you like, it's really cool.
It's a little aggressive.
It is a little aggressive, but works good. All right, cool. So that part's done. That was a lot harder than it had to be, mostly because of my lack of RC knowledge. And my mind reading. Okay, come here. We've got, oh, look at this, 3 by 12 millimeter self-tapping button head.
Do we?
Those look like they could be 12 millimeter.
But are there 3 of them?
No, 3 is the width.
Oh, 3 by 12. See?
So that's 1, 2.5. Okay, well, that's close enough for me. Olé! This is 3 by 12 millimeters-ish. It's gonna work. We're gonna make it happen. Okay, so the next step is to put the horizontal stabilizer on. Guys, I just noticed my antenna sticking out the lid. Be careful you don't break your antenna. All right, so this is super easy. You've got this assembly is gonna slide together, and then there's a wing spar that goes between these two. The drawing shows and calls for this is metal, it's solid, which I don't know if that's good or bad. It seems a little bit strange that they would use metal. It seems like you could, you know why they do that though? It's because evidently that probably gives you a little bit more room for flexibility on batteries. Otherwise you'd end up being tail heavy. Okay, so there's a hole, you line it up here, it's super easy. And then this just slides through. It's really simple, like that. And then the screw's gonna go through here, okay. And then this thing's gonna get plugged into or it's gonna get hooked onto the control arm. So let's look where we go. We go to the bottom hole. I'm gonna go to the top hole.
Of course you are.
I want more elevator authority. That's like the first thing I changed on my last one. That is a long horizontal stabilizer. Look how big that is. That's awesome. Okay, so now the screws are supposed to go from the top down. Okay, so we're gonna go top in here. This tail is kind of in a goofy angle, but we'll just see if we can get around it. So I'm actually holding, I'm just looking here. That's kind of weird. See that? There's like a void in the middle of that pinch hinge. I think it's almost like there was supposed to be a hinge in there, but there doesn't appear to be a hinge in there. Can you see?
Well, I can't see a hinge.
See how there's a void?
Yeah.
That's so weird. I can't figure it out. There is a hinge down here. Maybe that's the way it gets molded in the whole thing. Guys, I gotta satisfy my curiosity. Don't let me forget to do those screws, hon. See this? Oh, come on. I can't tell.
What are you looking for?
I'm trying to shine to see if I can see this hinge here.
Oh.
Because I'm gonna grab I wanna see with the flashlight. I'm curious if there's an embedded hinge in there, which would be good. Okay, we got 2 flashlights. You see that? See how there's a hole there? It's almost like there was supposed to be a hinge in there, but there isn't a hinge in there. That's weird. Huh. All right, whatever. I just know that I've lost my rudder on a number of occasions on planes, especially the ones that we end up landing really hard, and the timber is definitely one that's supposed to land hard. So we'll find out if that's an issue later. They definitely have this huge mechanism down here that helps to attach the steerable tail wheel into the plane and then bears the load into the frame of the airplane, okay? So now we gotta tighten those 2 screws that we paused for a moment to have that little interlude. Okay, so yes, you could take this plane apart. So far it's 100% screwed together. I don't know why you'd want to ever take a plane apart.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Okay, so those are both tight. Then we're gonna flip the tail up and we're gonna work on trying to get to this. They're suggesting the bottom hole. I just don't know that I'm interested in that. We have to check that these control surfaces are centered at the end, okay? So that's one thing we do need to do, okay? So these things are weird. They kind of pop vertical like this, and then they slide off the end, okay?
That's weird.
See how that works? Then I'm just gonna stick this in the hole. In this case, the top hole. They're telling you to use the bottom hole, and I'm like, yeah, no thanks. Because I want the control authority. Woo! This is a little bit awkward. Okay, so slide that all the way back and then snap it. Done. Cool. And that's the same way the rudder is attached, okay? Now, obviously, this is turned to the side, probably for packaging reasons. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna, look how thin this is. Look at this. It squishes down. There must not be any support underneath that spot. I just thought that was kind of weird. Okay, so when you're ready to make your adjustments, you see this? This is where you'll make your adjustments. So obviously this servo is kind of kicked all the way in, okay? Yeah, it's hard on them to pull them out neutrally like that. So this would be the time where you could hook up your servo tester if you wanted to center those, and you could adjust them really easily. In fact, that's what we're gonna do. You know why? Because once I put the wing on, it's gonna be kind of harder to do this. So we're gonna do that today, reluctantly. Okay, so I have several 3S packs, 2200. It doesn't really matter which one, but in this case, I'm gonna use one of the smart packs. I don't even think I have to plug in the balance lead, but I'm gonna do it just because to get it out of the way. Then I'm gonna press this button once briefly, and then I'm gonna go into servo test. I think this is the one I want, the 1520 ultra seconds or microseconds. That's a mu. It's a mu. What's a mu, Megan?
Microsecond? I don't know.
Maybe it's ultra second. It might actually be a U. Might be ultra second. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was a mu. A mu is like a little M. Huh. Okay, so this is a light controller. It goes up front, evidently, to the front lights. Then there's two. Okay, so this one here is plugged in right here. I'm just gonna yank it. Okay, we're only gonna do one at a time. Okay, so this is the elevator. Okay, so this says minus plus S, minus plus S. So minus is brown. Ooh, cool. So now I can move it, or I can double tap and it can go into a sweep like this. Okay, so now I'm gonna snap to the middle and we're gonna look for straightness. Does that look straight to you? No, it's not. So if it's not straight, mine is going up a little bit. So this is what we're gonna do, guys. This is super easy. We're gonna unscrew this. Okay, now look down there. Look down there. Kind of go back so that they can see kind of the whole view. And then I'm literally just gonna grab the control surface and straighten it to where it looks right. I'm not gonna tighten the screw yet. I am 100% comfortable with that. Now, come over here and show them this. I'm gonna tighten this. And then we're gonna double check our work. If you really wanted to be nice to your equipment, you would hold that with us, you know, like some sort of a needle nose pliers or something like that, but I don't really care, so I'm not gonna do that. So, elevator is set, and we also put that to the innermost, which means I'm gonna have more deflection. If you have it in the outermost, you'll have less deflection. If you put it in the middle, you have somewhere in the middle, okay? Now we're gonna do the same thing to the rudder, and just because I don't wanna take this thing apart, and I know I'm gonna do it, so I'm just gonna do it right now.
Right.
See right here, guys? This is the rudder connection. So we are in the outermost hole, okay? Actually, I kind of have to center this first. It's too hard to reach. So the elevator, we're gonna plug the elevator back in while we've got this opened up. So it looks like all the rest of them have the brown going down. So we're just gonna do that again. Oh, dang it. This is where having forceps would be handy if I had them in my drawer up here.
I used to.
Let's get another set of forceps. Tom, are you listening? Just kidding. Just kidding, Tom.
We need more stuff.
No, I'll probably get some forceps. More of them. Because I want them up here too, because I'm too lazy to go downstairs and get them. Okay, so here's the rudder. It says RUD. Okay, so it says RUD. I'll plug this in. Ooh, there it goes. Okay, so we'll wake up the screen. It's pretty close to straight. We'll sweep it. Pretty cool. Okay, so now I'm gonna actually rest this inside just a little bit. And the next thing I need to do is I need to grab this, pop this down and back. I mean, you wouldn't have to do this, but I want the extra throw for sure, okay? Then that just fell in my hand, I was ready to catch it. Then I'm just gonna pop this, show them from the bottom. You see how there's 3 holes? This is gonna give you the least output, the next most, and then this is the most. So I want the most. That might also change the position a little teeny bit, but notice that ours is just favored just a little teeny bit, like barely ever so slightly over that direction, okay? So we're gonna clamp this back on, and then we're gonna straighten that. Okay, so we'll just do this, and then we'll pull it toward the outside, and we'll drop it on the ground. You might as well plan on that happening 3 to 4 times while you're doing this, because it happens to me every time, and I also pulled the pin out. Good thing it's not a hand grenade. Get in there. So guys, if you're watching at home, we just got done taking hay this week from our property, and we got a huge yield of 15 bales. 15 bales. We got 194 on our first cutting. That's how dry it's been. Show the people at home, we're not quite square. We are favoring just ever so slightly to the right side. Would you agree?
No, to the left. This way.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I got mixed up.
Okay, that's what I figured.
I was standing on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so I loosen that. So now it's loosened, so I can just grab the control surface. That's pretty darn close. I'm just kind of looking from 2 different angles, and now I'm gonna tighten it. Okay, now that that's tight, I'm gonna verify by walking it back and forth. Wake up the screen. Okay, does that look good, centered?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, we're unplugged from the battery now. We're gonna unplug from the servo tester. Brown is down. So brown is down, and then I'm gonna just feed that back into channel 4, it appears. Okay, so just so you guys can tell, it looks like the bind program plug is opened and all the rest of the channels have been stuffed full of stuff.
That's how that goes.
Okay, so the other thing too, before we start closing this up, You see how these things could get up on top of those servos? Here's what I'm gonna do. Come around to the other side here, camera crew. This is what I'm gonna try to do. You see how this cable and this cable can get up here in like a strange circumstance? Same thing with this antenna, okay? I think I'm probably gonna just tape this here, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put a piece of tape on it. That'll help give us the best crack at success, I think.
Are you gonna tape the wires too?
Huh?
Are you gonna tape the wires too?
What are you talking about?
The rudder and elevator cables.
No, I have another idea for those, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work. So we'll use just run-of-the-mill, everyday Scotch style tape. Just, this is nice and clear, very thick. I would link to it, but that just sounds desperate.
So you can check the description below.
No, I'm not gonna link to it. That was just a hilarious joke.
I don't even know what kind of tape that is.
So there it is. So that's taped. We got the aileron plugs, and we've got the flap left and the flap right plugs. Okay. Yep, that's right. Okay, good. Ailerons are indifferent, but the, oh wait. Are they labeled? They are labeled as well. They are not indifferent, okay. So these two wires, I was thinking of just twisting them, okay, to try to resolve the conflict of potentially getting tied up. You see what I've done? I just twisted a few times. And then once they're twisted, I just don't know that I'm gonna be able to secure them easily. So I'm actually just gonna tape them. That was camera crew's suggestion, because that would be the easiest thing to do. A zip tie would be probably more appropriate, but I wanna do what she says.
The first time for everything.
Yeah, well, this will be quick and easy.
Yep.
Okay, so I just taped it. That looks really sloppy, but then that just gets it down and away, okay? Because this plane's gonna be doing all sorts of inverted maneuvers and hammerheads and all sorts of things. And I'm just checking to make sure all the rest of the wires are gonna more or less be secure, and they are. Okay, so the next thing is we're gonna pause, get some tools put away, and we'll come right back. Okay, so at this point, we're done with everything on this assembly of the fuse. With the exception of the prop, they just show the prop installed, so I guess I'm gonna have to show you how to do that real quick because it's not installed, or it's not included in the manual. My number 2 screwdriver is a little bit too thick to fit in this hole, so I'm just gonna put the small Chinese one down there. Okay, so that pulls off. You can see the Phillips screw as it comes out, it's black, okay? So then this is the 11-7 3-bladed prop. So it's an 11-7, means 11 inches circumference, 7-inch pitch. The pitch on the prop, meaning it's gonna go 7 inches with 1 revolution at rated speed or whatever. I don't know exactly what that part never seems to make sense to me. And then the way this works is this gets pulled off. And then of course your prop would come out, but you don't have to take it all the way off. This collar down here spins free. And as you tighten this on there, it's gonna bite the shaft that's inside. So we need a crescent wrench. In this case, you could use the correct tool for the job, but I'm gonna use a crescent wrench because
What would the correct tool be?
whatever the right size is for this,
Oh.
a box end wrench.
Oh.
Okay, so you slide this on, very simple. Slide it all the way to the backstop. I took this off just to demonstrate how that works. See how it's spinning on me? You gotta kinda push this back a little bit. Oh, come on, you little turd. There we go. Okay, so now that that's pushed back, now I can hold the prop and spin this in. Yep, see it's wanting to walk the prop off, guys. You see that? It's kind of annoying. If that keeps giving you problems, you can actually put your Phillips screwdriver, you can put this in there and then you can hold it with the tip of your screwdriver, okay? So I'm gonna size this out. I'm just gonna work it tight. Careful in case it falls. I seem to be throwing things. And by the way, like seriously, these blades are sharp. So don't get cut. Okay, that's why I'm bearing a large part of my hand across the edge of the blade, okay? If you do that right on the edge, you could get cut. That's what I was looking at earlier when I was playing with the blade, is I thought I did get cut. I didn't. But I've been cut before, just like that. So you torque that down, and that's what actually makes the firm bite on the prop shaft, okay? I'm going backward with that. That's the way it goes. Beautiful. Spinner. I kind of prefer the bigger, more flatter spinner on the original timber, but this one's pretty too. And I noticed that there's a small disparity in color here. That was a little bit disappointing. It's not a big difference. I don't think it's going to be noticeable in flight,
No.
but there is a little bit of a difference.
But the plastic nose is going to be better?
What do you mean? The spinner?
No.
Or this?
This.
Oh yeah, I mean that's going to hold up nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that's good about it is you can get to the motor easily.
Right.
So when you need to repair this thing, which, I mean, you shouldn't need to repair it, but if you crash it, like most people like to do with planes, then you may need to repair it. That's one of the nice things about dealing with Horizon Hobby, is that you'll be able to get parts for it. And that's not true of every plane, believe me.
No.
Okay, now we need to put the wing together. The wing is going to be relatively simple to assemble, but because we have to mount leading edge slats, I think it might be a little easier to deal with them now. What do you think?
The slats now? The problem is when you put the leading edge slats on, then it makes the front of the wing more fragile.
Are you suggesting that I don't put slats on
No, I'm suggesting that you don't put the slats on now.
until the plane's built?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you,
That's fine.
but we'll do it your way.
Whatever.
I'm going to straighten this aileron because it's annoying me and I don't want to do it by hand and break it. Okay, so the aileron, I'm going to plug in. Then I'm just going to click once, servo test. Boom, there it goes. It's already done. You missed it.
I was trying to focus on the
That's so cool.
screen.
Ooh, let's do the slow sweep. That's so cool, guys. That is so cool. Up, even, down. Okay, sweet. So now that we have that done, I can go ahead and assemble. No, you didn't have to do that, but I just demonstrated how to fold those out earlier. Okay, so there's actually a plastic reinforcement here. Nice big substantial plastic reinforcement here. That's what keys into the front of the fuse. Okay, so it just slides in there. Just like that, and it bottoms out, okay? Don't stop short. Make sure you stick it all the way in.
You'd be disappointed.
Hmm?
You'd be disappointed.
It's true. Stick it all the way in. And then when you're all the way seated, okay, then you can put your wing joiners on. Whoops.
Did you hit it?
This is tapered one way. See that, guys? If you put it in wrong, it's not going to fit right, okay? So I just put that in there, and it follows the contour of the airplane's wing, okay? If you put it in wrong, this is what it's going to look like. See how it's not following the contour of the wing? Put it in right. Okay, now let's show the people at home just how much reinforcement there is in this wing. Because you're probably thinking, well, that can't be all that especially sturdy. It is. You guys see all that? That black makes it look really hard to see. But there's one of the spars there. And then see all that darkness? That's all plastic stuff. You see that? See if we can see from this side. Harder to see from this side.
Yeah, it was easier to see the other way.
There's your chamber. Pretty cool though, to see the way that they put these together. The first time you crash one, you'll be able to See how that goes together
You can
too.
see it.
Okay, so obviously we haven't put the leading edge slats on. Oh, and by the way, this is a 1.5 meter. So 1.5 meters. I'm 6 foot tall, or 6'3" if I'm buying life insurance. All right. These leads are nice and long. Look at that. That's really nice.
Nice.
Except we're going to have to figure out a way to manage the cables, which is going to be a little awkward.
Well, it always is.
So there's 6 wires. Ow.
See? Sharp.
Injured. So there is a little LED module in here. Okay, the LED module has 2 open plugs. It says L1 and it says L2, okay? So there's one of these that says L1 and one that says L2. Maybe we can use a Robart stand to hold the wing.
Just for the wing?
Yeah, let's try that. Okay, I'm gonna have you, good, it sits over the top of the leading edge slats. That's kind of convenient. I'm gonna put the plane over the top like this, and I'm gonna pull the stand like this, and then I'm gonna see if I can flatten these things like this. They slip and slide pretty easy. Oh, that actually works pretty nice.
Yeah.
Look at that, thanks, Tom. All right, so over here, guys, we got the little controller here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna grab, okay, so just whatever we grab. First, we got an aileron, which they don't have this labeled, of course. Why would they do that? So it doesn't say left or right. So this one happens to be the right wing. Okay, so I'm gonna find aileron right. See that, guys? It says aileron R. You're gonna have to zoom if you expect them to read it, but that's okay. So that's the right aileron. Okay, so this is one of the lights. This is L1. So L1 goes to this right here. And so the brown goes here, like that. There you go. Okay, then this is gonna be aileron from, just to verify that's the left wing.
Because you're looking at it as if you were the pilot, right?
Yep,
Left and right.
that's right. You're looking at it as though you are the plane, not the pilot, but yes,
Oh, well,
that
okay.
too. Okay, then we've got, this one's the L2, it looks like. So this one says L2, brown to brown, red to red, and orange to orange. And then we have, it looks like this one's flap, and that one comes from the left wing. Brown to brown, red to red, orange to orange, just like that. Then we have the, this should be the aileron, or excuse me, this should be the flap from the, yeah, that's from the right wing. So that's flap dash R, okay? I would never want to have to take this apart, but
No.
compared to other planes, it could be a lot worse. They've had short connections on some of these planes. So now we've got this big loop of wires, guys, okay? Can we just agree that that's not gonna be real ideal to try to control inside of this cabinet? So I'm gonna show you the trick of the day. Trick of the day. One twist. 2 twists. Is that 3 or 2?
That's 2, I think.
That's 2. Okay, now that that's twisted, I want you guys to take a look at this with me. I'm gonna actually stuff that up front, but we have to bind this plane.
Is there not a bind extension on the bottom?
No,
Then yes, we do.
we are gonna bind the plane right now. Which, okay, so that being understood, we have, in terms of assembly of this aircraft left, we have these 2 things and we have the leading edge slats. So I'm just gonna set these in here. We'll go ahead and install the leading edge slats after the radio setup, or
You could install them now since they're sitting on that nice stand and they're more stable,
Yeah.
but you don't have to do all your spinning and
That's true.
whatever.
That's true. Okay, so we'll do this now. So the leading edge slats, in order to install these, they have a little cover that goes over the top of these things. You're supposed to remove these. No, they are not removable. The leading edge slats, once installed, are pretty much installed. The finish on the top of the swing is really good. It's really smooth. Ow, I just got poked again. This one's not so good though. That one just needed to be pushed in a little bit more. Weird, I haven't seen that before. The plastic from my, this is what I might do, camera crew.
Yeah.
There's a bind plug here too, which I have about 4 million bind plugs. So I'm just gonna take these, just in case I would try to take this off later and I wanna fill those in. I'm gonna turn my bag inside out and I'm just gonna stick them down like this. Because this is what extreme cheapskates do.
Or hoarders.
Hoarders.
What if you needed that bag to sell a small amount of
Something.
Something.
Anything. It could be anything. You don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it could be.
You forgot one.
Dang it.
Sorry, I thought you already knew that.
Look at the hummingbirds are still eating.
I know. It's 'cause they're like, get us out of the cold. We're going to Florida.
Okay, so we never finished our story earlier.
We didn't.
So this is left, correct? So this is the left wing, okay?
Are they the same or are
They are different.
They are different. Okay.
They are different, okay? Otherwise they wouldn't go through the trouble of labeling them, believe me. So we're gonna use this foam to foam adhesive for rapid foam modeling. By the way, I did not open this. This came opened. Look, like that. Oh my goodness, it's already, woo, woo, woo. I'd rather get it on my hands than on the table.
Yes. Thank you. Where are you going?
I'm getting a paper towel because my camera crew is not getting me a paper towel. This stuff is fatal if swallowed, inflammable, and all sorts of other nasty things.
So it should work great.
So it should work great. If it's bad for you, it's good for the plane. So I don't know if that like is always going to do that, but you need to be aware it's possible. Okay.
Premature.
Prematurely, just sprayed right out of there. Okay, so look what I'm doing. I'm sticking it between the cracks and just squirting. Seriously, give them a close-up view of the squirting.
I don't want to get it on the camera.
Ooh, wow. Not that crazy. Okay, so I'm just going straight into the crack and then I'm going a little bit on the surface. Straight into the crack and then a little bit on the surface, okay? I'm not trying to go crazy with this, guys. So I'm just wiping the tip. You always want to end with a clean tip. Man, it just like keeps coming no matter what I do. It's just so excited. Stop. Okay, so there. So it stopped because I put the cap on.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, these things are always harder than they look to put on, okay? I've put a lot of leading edge slats on. And speaking of, I want to put them on the Night Timber X because, you see?
Did you not already do that?
Look, show the people at home what I'm doing.
I'm showing them.
As I penetrate, it's displacing the glue a little bit. That's good because I want to make sure there's a liberal amount of glue spraying out of the crack. Now, I haven't pushed it down yet. I'm going to let the glue kind of slide in and around, okay? And then I'm just working it back and forth. You see what I'm doing? I'm walking it down to make sure that the whole surface area's got glue on it, okay? You know what we might need to do? We might need to get...
Q-tips.
No, actually so far. I think I'm good so far. I was thinking Q-tips though. This is like working really good. Is that better than mucilage? I don't know. Seems about similar.
Well, you can order it.
Oh, there's that detail. And what are the special ingredients of mucilage anyway? Is it magic?
It's a secret.
It's magic.
Magic.
Yeah, it's magic. I don't think that's legal.
I think that qualifies.
Only the Chinese can
That's
get away
like
with
natural
that.
flavorings.
Like other. It's not just
Other.
natural, it's other
Other.
natural flavorings.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, we can't give away our secrets, our secret poisons.
Magic.
Let's look. Show the people at home. That worked really sharp. That was
did.
probably the easiest leading edge slat install. Now, I gotta be honest. Okay, on the ultra micro planes is a lot harder because they're so dinky. And you're like, how can this be hard?
Are we gonna make them watch?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're here. They're here to watch it.
You could finish the story, or I could tell them the
Oh,
story
so
while you're.
the other night, I was laying on this couch and we were watching TV. It was amazing. It was so good. It was so good. I was so into this show that I fell asleep for like 4 hours or 5 or 6 hours. Either way, whatever time it was 5 a.m. I woke up and I said, well, I guess I'm alone out here. So I said, I need to pee. So I said, I'm gonna go pee. And I got up to go pee so that I could go to bed. And, instead of just sleeping on the couch like a loser, like I do every night. Most nights. But anyway, so I decided, hey, I don't remember like having the kids out in the garage playing in the cans, but something's out there playing in the cans. So I thought, great, somebody's breaking in. Yeah, that's fun. So I said, well, I better go get my wife because I don't want her to wake up to the sound of whatever sound it would be. Since we're on YouTube, I won't talk about it. Anyway, so I said, hey, there's something going on in the garage. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's an animal of some sort, but it could be a robber. I don't know. So we have peepholes. So I looked out. I couldn't see, but I could hear. And I could hear all I needed to hear, which was that they were going through the cans vigorously. Anyway, so me and my wife got to get up a little early. We did a little can sorting. We dumped them out in the middle of the yard. That was fun at 5 a.m. Beautiful sunset happened.
Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Yes.
Sunrise. Sorry. Wrong side of the planet again.
Wrong time of day.
And so we never did find Mr. Critter. We emptied 800 plus cans because at the beginning of the pandemic, we had several months worth of cans, as would not be untypical for us. And we have a family of 6, so we go through a lot of cans. We had parties and things like this during Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff. And we had just never taken cans back. So no big deal until they stopped taking cans back for 6 months. Flash forward to this weekend. And we were taking cans back. So we filled like the entire vehicle with cans. We looked like homeless people. It was hilarious. And we got to the local grocery store and started returning the cans. A few hours later, we came home. Everything was fine. We had gone through and cleaned all the cardboard out. And I'm just gonna show you one example why this glue sets. We have a few things of cardboard out there. I'm just saying, we got a lot of planes. We got a lot of cardboard.
A hoarder, so
And they're great boxes, okay? Anyway, I don't know what to say. They're great boxes. So anyway, we got all the boxes out and we had a stack about waist high that was about this wide and about from me to the camera crew sitting in our driveway, which was part of the Airbus A380 debacle. I don't know if you watched that, but anyway, flash forward a few more hours, this critter's still not out. And so I was like, well, I need to use the blower. I'm gonna clean out the garage. And so we cleaned out the garage and I'm talking everywhere. And out rolls a giant stinky turd. And I said, okay, well, I don't think I did that. Pretty sure the cats didn't do it because it was bigger than a cat turd and it was much more stinky. And I said, okay, well, that was probably our critter. So a few hours later, and this critter never came out, we said, we'll put the live trap out. Okay, so the live trap is this big and it's a cage and the animal goes in and then they live, hypothetically. So we put it in there and I said, hey, this cat or squirrel or whatever it is gonna enjoy a can of soda because that's what they were digging through. And I said, whatever they liked, I'm gonna give them what they liked. So I baited the trap with a can of squirt that was half empty because I drank most of it and then I put the rest in there and then we had to go to a family event. Came home, there was a visitor. And my wife was like, that isn't gonna work.
I didn't think it would work that fast.
And I'm just gonna say this for the record, she is not often wrong, but she was dead wrong on this one. Because our visitor was there and he was white and black and very stinky. And he was in live and in person in our live trap. And I had it in the middle of the garage. And so, yeah, that was fun. So anyway, if you come to visit and it smells a little bit like skunk, I'll just, leave that to your imagination because there was a skunk in the garage. Luckily, I didn't get sprayed and she didn't get sprayed. But,
we all got sprayed.
But the house got sprayed a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were, the next day, the truck was smelly and the car was smelly and
we were probably smelly.
the garage was smelly and our house was smelly. So my wonderful camera crew was able to boil vinegar to help absorb
your
the
house
smell.
stinks when boiling vinegar is the better alternative.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's look at the glue. Story time over. We took care of it. I had to replace weather strip up to my knee on one side of the door because this creature was trying to get in the house. That was not very fun. No. And there was prints on the walls, and luckily there wasn't scratch marks because evidently skunks like to dig. So that's the story time over. Okay, so this is set up pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, it's not perfect.
It says 1 to 2 hours for maximum strength, right? Hey, this end one down here is coming off.
And that's what I noticed is that a couple of these have slipped. But once I pushed that one in, it stayed tight.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna assume that will hold. This one needs pushed in just a little bit. Just needs to be rammed in just a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we will go ahead and probably get reset. We'll get the radio set up going. And then when we're done, sorry guys, the build is gonna be a little bit out of order just because we have to bind here. And so the only way to we'll get the bind plug plugged in. We already have the CG marked. We're pretty much ready for radio setup. So we just need a bind plug. And we'll put the bind plug in, but we have to bind with Safe Select, which means we're gonna insert the bind plug and then we're going to pull out the bind plug once the battery is plugged in. Then we'll go through the process of binding. That's gonna give us Safe Select instead of just AS3X. The difference, of course, is that AS3X is gonna stabilize from wind and environmental impact, and Safe is going to right the plane when you let go, and you can turn that on and off. That's why it's called Safe Select. So this bag that we turned inside out with these little foam pieces, we'll just turn that right side in, or whatever you want to call that. And then we can put any spare parts from the rest of the assemblies into there. And we could hypothetically go back to full strength if we want. So we'll pause, get reset, and come back.
Okay.
Okay, so we gave it a few more minutes. Everything seems to be holding up just fine. I would say that worked fine. So if you're looking for mucilage and you can't get it, this stuff is a viable alternative. Worked fine, obviously didn't eat the foam, and it does look a little bit like toothpaste, so don't get mistaken. We will link to this in our regular links so that if you want to buy this, especially when you're buying from Horizon, if you're making an order there, if you get over a certain dollar amount, then you can get your credit for your RC Club stuff, and then you can also pay shipping somewhere else to get what you want, or you can get it there. And so obviously that makes sense. If you're ordering a $200 or $300 plane, you're ordering a battery, whatever it is, you can get these together and save a little bit on shipping. So we'll link to that. And when we come back, we'll be doing the radio setup with the understanding that there's going to be a couple of screws we have to throw in at the very end. So my apologies for that. Stay. All right, guys, so we're going to do the radio setup on this Turbo Timber 1.5. So we have the plane mostly built with 2 screws to put in and just reseat the wing. And we have the bind plug ready. We have the 2200 3S that we're going to use for setup. And then we have the screwdriver to put that in. So that's just there. Don't want to distract. We're going to go to the second page, which actually the third page. It shows you what they're recommending for your actual change for the movement. I don't set things up that way, but I do look at the timer, okay? So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new model, okay? So throttle cuts on, sticks switches are where I want them. So I'm gonna click, scroll down, go to System Setup, disconnect RF, model select, add new model, create. So 83 models, sorry, I might have said. But that doesn't mean 83 planes, there's other stuff in there too. Okay, so we're gonna go to model type, verify it's an acro, it is. It's gonna delete anything that's in there back. Model name, so now we're gonna scroll in the name, which I will start and then we will pause. So you click and then you can see down here if you have the latest and greatest firmware. So I'm gonna do timber. You have to click to select that next character. And then you move and then you click and then you can.
Wait, are you doing timber or turbo timber?
Oh yeah, that's right, thank you. Good catch. Turbo. Okay, so we'll pause and come right back. Okay. All right, so we got the turbo timber 1.5 meter. So we'll go back, aircraft type. So now we can go to, I think it's like page 5. Okay, so page 4, computerized transmitter. We're gonna go down to DX18. So it says go to system setup, model utilities, airplane, wing type, 1 aileron, 1 flap. So we're gonna go to normal. We're gonna change that to 1 aileron, 1 flap, okay? And you're like, but Brian, there's 2 flaps and 2 ailerons. Well, that's because there's 1 channel that controls those things. That's what that means. Okay, so we'll do that. That's close as you're gonna get for the image. And then the channel assign we're probably gonna have to do later. Go to the function list. Okay, so now we can go back to function list. First thing I'm gonna do is set up throttle cut. Throttle cut is gonna be set to switch H for me. I want it at -100 and it's on right now. So it's not moving the throttle when I move the throttle stick, okay? So that's good, we're gonna test that right now. Throttle goes up, go to monitor mode, throttle goes up and it's not changing. Unlock it and it works, okay? The reason I figured this is safer is because I figure I could bump into it easier that way. I'd rather accidentally lock it than accidentally unlock it. Okay, so now we need to also set up the timer. The timer is gonna be 4 minutes. The 1 out is not gonna be inhibited, it's gonna be active. The alarm is gonna be tone vibrate, but then we have to do next, and then we have to do next, and then we have to do expiration, which I hate that feature. I don't understand why there has to be 2 spots to do the expiration. So now this starts when you're over 25%, it counts down to 4 minutes, and then it's gonna alarm, it's gonna vibrate, and it's gonna beep, okay? So now we need to set flaps, so we'll click into the function list. That's the first menu you get into there. We'll scroll down to flaps. It's gonna go to inhibit. We're gonna change that to, we're gonna click on it, and we're gonna, they say D, I'm using B, okay? And they're suggesting position 0 is gonna be 100% for flaps. So we just scroll all the way over. Okay, and then the elevator is supposed to be nothing. Then at position 1, it's gonna be 0. And the down elevator correction is gonna be 16%. And then we're gonna go -100 for the full flap deployment with a 2-second deployment speed. That means from the top of the sweep to the bottom of the sweep, it's going to be 2 seconds of travel time, okay? So that is set, 2 seconds. So you can see that change, and you can see in the monitor there, it tells you how long. So there's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, see? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Nah, see, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Yeah, see, I'm not sure exactly how that works. It looks like it's a little bit delayed, maybe. It's a 2-second deployment. All right, so that's everything. That was super simple. Now we need to do binding, okay? So throttle cut's on, stick is down, be careful, the prop is installed, okay? You got the battery here. We have to be prepared with the battery. We have to have the transmitter on and, not on. We need that off, okay? We know that we're in the correct model, so we're gonna turn this off. Make sure that you're in a position to control the plane so that if something would happen, you can remain safe, and then impact change, okay? The battery being on the bottom is not ideal for virtually any plane. It's a little bit awkward to work with, but it is kind of the nature of the beast on this plane. Don't forget your FAA number when you do this. If you're trying to do it by the book, you need to have your FAA number on this plane. Okay, so the bind plug plugs into the receiver here in the bind plug. It's really obvious where it goes. This is keyed, so you have to do it a certain way, and it looks like it's going to go this way. So the D is kind of pointing that way. See how there's like a little edge there? Oh, this is so awkward to reach. It's just out of reach for my fingers. Nope, got it. Okay, so that's in. So now listen. I am binding this in Safe Select. Safe Select binding is here on page 8. So you're going to plug it in. You're going to put in the battery to the airplane, and then you're going to pull that plug. Then you're going to do the bind, okay? Otherwise, it's going to put you in AS/X mode. So the transmitter is off, the plane is off, the bind plug is inserted. Now I'm going to grab this EC3 connection. I'm going to very carefully secure the plane with my hand, and then I'm going to plug this in. Not going to even worry about anything right now. Now come and look. It's flashing vigorously. Vigorous flashing, okay? So now I'm gonna take a screwdriver because it's gonna make it easy to peel this bind plug out. So I pulled it out, it fell to the ground, I don't care. I am going to now hold my bind button while turning on the power. I'm gonna grab the plane just in case something goes crazy. Binding, DSMX, 22 milliseconds with telemetry. You can let go at this point. Everything is on. I'm going to turn this 2 times. That means we have safe. Flaps need to be reversed. They didn't mention that in the channel, on that channel. So I'm going to go to servo setup. I'm going to go to travel. I'm going to go to reverse. Flaps. Okay. So now my flaps are in the normal flight mode. Ailerons, they're going the right direction. That's going to lower that wing. That's going to lower that wing. Elevator's going the right direction. Rudder's going the right direction. But look at that elevator. That elevator is downhill. What the heck? That's kind of weird.
It is now.
Didn't we center that with a servo tester? The rudder's perfectly straight. That's weird. Anyway, okay, no big deal. Just to be on the safe side, I always like to know that the throttle is going to work. It is going the right direction. Throttle cut's on and tested. So it is working. Throttle cut is on and retested. Okay, just because I'm a little bit vulnerable here, I'm going to do that. Now, I noticed that the elevator is pointed down quite a bit, so I don't like that, and we're going to resolve that right now. So my trims are neutral. Okay, trims are neutral, so everything is neutral. So the elevator is going the right direction. Let's assign safe just to be on the safe side, because you know what it's trying to do?
It's trying
to level it. That's level, okay, guys? Did you understand what I just said there? Mm-hmm. So we're not going to trim that. Thank goodness I didn't make that stupid mistake. Okay, so these wires are going to drop down in here. You remember how I spun this around a bunch during the build? I'm going to do that again one more time. And that was awkward. Now it's a nice little bundle of wire, and I am just going to stuff it in toward the front. And then I'm going to set this down in here. And then I'm going to put these screws down. They're nylon. They're very easy to work with. At this point, I have confirmed that this plane is not going to throttle up unless something changes, which would be very unusual.
You are not quite seated.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just getting these walked down some, and then I can hold up the back.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know for sure if I'm in the holes. Okay, so I just push that down and the screws come up, so that means I'm in the holes. And there's quite a few threads that you got to put this in. Show the people a close-up if you can. Maybe if you come over from my left shoulder. See this? That's my right shoulder.
Yeah, I know.
You guys see how it's getting leveled out? Put your thumb up there so they can see how it's flat. It's getting there. That's what you're looking for, okay? Same thing on the other side there, camera crew.
Yep.
Okay, so everything's flush. Okay, so now the next step is basically to figure out how to get safe select on and off. So I'm gonna de-energize the plane. I'm gonna let everything boot. I'm gonna turn off my transmitter. I'm gonna go through a full boot process, and I'm gonna do it in a way that in case the plane would go crazy, I'm safe, okay? That's always a good idea. We'll put it in the plane stand actually now, and then I can just kind of keep a hand on it. It'll be easy.
Okay.
It does make it a lot easier to get the battery in and out of this plane. Okay, so we're gonna assign safe select also in this next step. How are we doing on battery? Can you tell?
I can't tell. We have
Okay.
about 15 minutes of
Okay.
time.
So plane's coming on. Oh, whoops.
I'm gonna turn it on.
No. You know what I did forget?
What?
I forgot the bind plug inside the plane.
Oh,
I guess it's gonna live in there. I don't care. Maybe we'll need it again. Okay, so we've got the plane down. Let's show the people real quick at home what we're doing.
okay.
I'm just gonna loosen these little straps. And again, like I said, I admitted this earlier, this is probably the worst part of the plane, is just basically having to load this battery in this direction. Not a big fan of this step. I didn't like it about the 1.5 meter. I don't like it about this one. It's not a big deal when you're sitting in your living room or your kitchen or whatever, where you've got a nice place to work, but when you're out at the flight field, it may not be so easy. Okay, so turn on the radio for me there, camera crew. So now it's on. We're gonna lay everything down like that. We're gonna throw the battery cover on. It has not set itself yet, so we're not safe yet. This is the first boot. That's the only reason I'm doing this. It's gonna find its home position and then do 2 dances. There's 1, there's 2, okay? So now we're good. Everything is safe. It's not taking off on me. The elevator is attempting to find level, which is what's going on. The AS3X is not active yet, but the safe is, okay? How do we know safe is active? Now that it's initiated, flip it over. Ailerons are going to find the quickest route to home. See that?
Yep.
Okay. So we know that safe is on. So we need to make an assignment to where safe is going to turn on and off. Since there aren't retractable landing gear, I'm going to choose to use switch A, okay? So throttle cut is on. Throttle cut is tested, so we know that we're safe. So now I'm gonna go into, why don't you go to my left side, please, just for in case something goes wrong. I'm gonna go all the way down to system setup. I'm gonna disconnect. I'm gonna jump down into channel assign. We're gonna look and see if channel A is set to anything, okay? Or I mean, not channel A, but the A switch. It should be. Gear is set to A. So that's acceptable. We can use gear. That's within the range. So now, in order to set your switch designation, I'm gonna use the sticks down and in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. So it's working. Throttle cut is on. Tested. Good. So we're safe still before I put my hand on here. Obviously safe is working. Now safe is off. Okay. See that? I want to flip the direction of that. I want that to be the other way around. So I'm going to go into servo setup. I'm going to go travel, switch it to the reverse page, and then I'm going to go to gear and switch it. Now safe is on when it's here. And safe is off. Okay? So now let's check AS3X and the direction of travel. You want to come back here behind the plane with me. Throttle cuts off. Throttle cuts on. I just noticed that my glue was letting these pop up, so I have to push those down real quick. It's only probably been, what, like 12, 13 minutes since we did that?
Yeah.
Okay, so elevator goes up, elevator goes down, rudder goes left, rudder goes right. Ailerons roll the plane left, they roll the plane right. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. And look at the elevator. From neutral, look from here. See how that goes down, takeoff flaps, and then it goes down further for landing flaps. So everything is working, guys. This thing is ready to fly. Now, you may have noticed, I don't know if you can tell, but it's raining. So we aren't going to get to see this thing fly near as quick as you are because you've already seen it fly at the beginning of this video. This thing is going to be gorgeous. I am 100% happy with the way this thing went together. I'm going to check the CG now. Okay, with a 2200 milliamp 3S, I'm in the back hole, the 65 millimeter. If I'm on the 55 millimeter, it's tail heavy. If I'm in the center, it's a little bit tail heavy. If I'm in the back hole with the pad of my middle finger, it's pretty much perfect. This plane will be indifferent to CG to an extent because it is such a good flying plane. However, you see where my battery is? If you're new to flying, try your best to get the battery to be up higher or up lower like this. The way you can accomplish this, it's a little bit challenging, I'll be honest. You can pull this out, and the way I've done it in the past is that I will try to feed this in with the wires too. And then you can sandwich it in so that it gets bound in here, okay? The battery placement on this plane is challenging, okay? Because it's hard to guarantee that that thing is gonna stay still if you're that lazy like I was there, okay? So what you end up having to do is you have to find a place where you can lay it down like this. And then you have to pull these leads out. And you see where my motor leads are, guys? Look at that. You see that? That goes down to the ESC. Okay. So that should make it a little easier. So you plug the battery in. Now this is a float plane. It would technically fly in the rain, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you guys take your planes out in the rain, because if you get your motor wet, it can cause some problems. It actually will deal with water better than you might expect. But then as soon as I say it's going to be fine, you're going to have a problem. Okay. So now this can feed through here a little bit. And there you have it. So that's pretty much what you're going to have to do. Now, would a 3000 fit in here? Probably. But let's try it right now because we're
going to be
out of time.
Yeah.
How much time do we have?
Well, less than 10 minutes of recording, but I don't know on battery.
Okay. So guys, if we get cut off, the 2200 is a good fit. This is a 2200 3S. The 2200 4S will for sure fit. But let's go ahead and just, if we can get it in there, we'll go ahead and try to get the 4000 milliamp. There's a 3200, excuse me, 3200. Here's a 3200. Here's a 3200 4S. That would be probably about as big as you can get in there. So let's just try this. Remember, smart packs are smaller. They end up being a lot more smaller. This would buy you a little bit more flight time, but you can see it just doesn't quite make it, okay? So if you're gonna do a bigger pack, you're gonna probably have to go with a 3200 3S, which will get you a little longer flight time. This one, it will fit, okay? So you can definitely get that in there. I'm not even gonna plug in the power just because I wanna make sure we get this done for you. So that's 3200 3S, and then of course we're going to our CG marks, and we're just gonna see what we got. Yeah, it centers out perfect. So on 3S, 3200 you can fit. You'll get, I would suspect, probably a 5 to 6 minute flight time, but we will show you that in the flight. Thanks for watching, guys. This plane is gonna be beautiful. I'm really excited to share the flight with you. And if you haven't already got one, check the links in the description below. We'll link to the glue that we used. We pretty much always link to that stuff. But we'll link to the glue we used specifically on this plane. We'll link to the 2200 3 and 4S, and we'll link to the 3200 3S just to give you guys an idea of what's out there. And then obviously we have the smart technology power stage little kits that you can get. So we'll link to those ones as well. And thanks for being there. Thanks for being part of this experience. We really appreciate you. Come back for more. All right, so we forgot to set up the Expo. So my camera crew is gonna come over here. We're gonna go in the function list. We're gonna go down to do a rates and Expo. And then I always set everything on switch F, okay? They didn't talk about it in the manual, so obviously I didn't really do much with it. Switch is gonna be set to F. At 0, I'm gonna have on ailerons nothing. Whoops. Then I'll probably go to like 8, and then I'll do like 20. Actually, we'll do 10 and 20, okay? Then I'm gonna switch to elevator. I'm gonna attach that here. I'm gonna set 5% on the lowest setting. I'm gonna send 10%, and then I'm gonna set 20, and I'll actually back off the rates to 90, which makes me think on my top setting, I'll back off the rates to 90 for the ailerons. And why don't I'll set this one to 5%. And then rudder, attach it to that switch. On the lowest setting, I'll do 5%. Then I'll do, in the middle setting, I'll do 10. Then I'll do 30 here. And I'll do 90. And then in the middle setting, I'll set that to 20. And what that's gonna do for us is it's gonna give us a little bit more rudder expo, just because rudder typically needs a little bit more expo. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, well, you will have already seen the build and setup and all that good stuff, and the radio setup, obviously. But we are about ready to fly, so we hope it's good. Thanks for watching, guys. Come back for more. Check the link in the description if you haven't bought one of these planes. The Turbo Timber by e-flite, 1.5 meter version. There's also a UMX if you like it. Really good planes. And of course, the starter packs for 2200 3S and 2200 4S, just like we showed in the video today, in case you're new to the hobby. And then of course, we'll link to all the regular good stuff, which are planes. So thanks for watching. Come back for more.